What is up, you heathens and demons, you sinners and saints, you beautiful blasphemous bastards. I'm going to have my screen off for the big screen up here. Today, I'm going to kind of try that out, I think. That way, like, if my daughter has to come up here, I'm not searching for the camera button. I could just come up here to this screen. It'd be a lot smoother. I'll have my camera on when I'm down here. I've got a lot to look at today, a lot to say. Went to bed fairly early last night. I went to bed and Kash Patel had said that the FBI had caught the suspect that had shot Charlie Kirk, and woke up to find out that once again Charlie Kirk, or the suspect, was the wrong suspect. They had the wrong guy. I'm also waking up to a lot of reports, which actually I went to bed to, like, seeing CJ Cox lose his goddamn mind, talking about how Democrats have declared war on them and Democrats need to all be destroyed. Like, fucking insanity, right? I went to bed on that shit. And I commented, like, just, dude, you done lost your goddamn mind. Like, what the fuck happened to CJ Cox while I was gone? Seriously. And then woke up to, like, you know, fights in Congress, Republicans blaming the left. Again, nobody's been caught. Nobody knows who did this. And they're saying the left has declared war on them. They're saying, you know... Hey, what's up, Stephen Ryan? I don't have a setup for a co-host, unfortunately. I wish I did. I will... I do need to set it up to where I can have somebody come in, or, you know, several people come in. I just don't have a setup like that right now. So, yeah, I'd love to have you on, Steven, but I just I can't right now. As far as it won't let me into my StreamYard because I've got my OBS running. So I've got a lot to watch today. Unfortunately, some of the things that I'm going to be watching is TYT. I don't usually watch TYT anymore. They lost their goddamn minds as well over different issues. But my news feeds are just kind of jacked. And yeah, so I've been watching TYT for a fucking decade at least here on YouTube. On 7 years, as long as I've had this profile, I've been watching TYT. The algorithm will probably always pump TYT through to me, just like it'll probably always pump Destiny to me, just because I had watched Destiny for so long, even though I don't watch them anymore. Still haven't, like, opened up my old news feeds. I used to have, like, a lot of, like, newspapers and stuff like that, subscriptions. I don't have any of that currently, so yeah, it's kind of hit or miss what I can actually use. Now, the first thing that I'm going to watch, I'm not actually going to show on screen. We're going to stay up here in this screen, because it's going to show the assassination several times from several different angles, and it's very disturbing. Now, it doesn't show, like, the bloodshot, what I call the bloodshot, but it shows Charlie being hit several times, and I'm choosing not to show that. But I think it's important that we listen to this guy's analysis. His name is Marcus J. Allen. He's got 8.6 subscribers. He'll give you his credentials. The title is Ex-Sniper, Breaking Down Charlie Kirk's Assassination. I've watched most of the video. I don't know this guy's politics. But I think that his analysis is pretty spot on. And then I'll kind of give my analysis as well, because a lot of people are jumping to conclusions, and I think we have to look at what we know, the facts on the ground. But first, I want to start with just some facts on gun violence in America to begin with, and we'll get more statistics. I'll have some statistics on the screen later on. I've got a lot to look at today because I find this very disturbing that Republicans are jumping to calling for some kind of war on Democrats, inciting violence against Democrats. And Charlie Kirk's body it wasn't even cold yet. So I find that highly disturbing. But just some basic facts on gun violence in America. Suicides account for more than half of all total gun deaths in the United States. Suicides are out of control. I've talked about it several times on this channel, but it doesn't get talked about enough. Each day in America, 12 children die from gun violence, another 32 shot or injured. A 2022 study found that guns are the leading cause of death for children and teens, with an average of 7 young people dying every day. And since the Columbine shooting in 1999, more than 390,000 students in the U.S. have experienced gun violence at school. And I do want to point out that this assassination took place at a college campus. So those numbers continue to go up. Another high school was shot up yesterday, and I think it's important to remember that for the last 30 years, it has been Democrats that have been the only ones trying to do any kind of significant gun reform in this country. And I don't think that gun reform is the only thing that we need. We also need better health care. We need health care that's going to cover mental health. Mental health care is going to cover a much wider variety of things, and that health care needs to be available to each and every single American, so each and every single American has the option to deal with their mental illness, because mental illness is a problem in America. It's a problem in the world, but it's especially a problem here in America. And if we're going to do anything about gun violence in America, school shootings, public shootings, suicides utilizing guns, it's going to have to be a bilateral effort. It's going to have to be a bipartisan effort. It's going to have to be right-wing ideas, left-wing ideas coming together to actually try to do something. But unfortunately, we don't want to do anything about gun violence in America except for use the issue. That's the only thing we want to do. We want to use the issue for our own political gains. I have done it. I'm not sitting here acting purer than thou. I have done it. We all do it nowadays, and it's something that needs to stop. And the last thing you want to do when you have an act of political violence, acts that are known historically to have copycats, follow-ups, the last thing you want to do is put out a bunch of rhetoric that's going to incite violence. I haven't been out calling Republicans Nazis yesterday, although we're going to talk about them trying to utilize people describing what they're seeing as the cause of this, when, again, we don't even know the cause of this. You have to look at the facts in the case. The facts right now is this guy got onto a roof, has seemed to have escaped most major college surveillance. I haven't seen anything outside of one video of a dude noticing somebody on the roof. Had seen somebody running across a roof. By the time they got the video going, all you could see was the silhouette of the top of somebody laying down on the roof. That's the only thing I've seen so far. I'm not saying that there's anything else out there, but the information that I have, the facts that I have is, there was one individual who seems to have escaped most detection, shot one shot that was a very precise kill shot. These are the facts that I have. One shot, very precise kill shot. You're about to hear somebody with the credentials that is going to verify that for you as he watches this assassination take place on all the different camera angles that he has available to him. So just the facts on the ground. The FBI seems to have tried to peg it on one like dude that probably couldn't possibly be the perpetrator. And when I say like it seems to have pegged it, like the right wing media seem to have had this guy's profile ready and waiting to go. Like it was like immediate that pictures of this dude's Twitter account were floating around. Like they were portraying this guy as a left wing activist, putting this on this assassination on left-wing activism pretty much as soon as this shooting took place. So that's why I say it in that specific terms. Had to let that guy go. That guy obviously wasn't the shooter. Again, had another fucking person that they had arrested by the time I went to bed, and that guy wasn't the shooter. So the last fact that we have available is this person seems to have escaped all pursuit since. I think we can draw some assumptions from that, but I'm going to hold off on my assumptions up to this point. If I choose to give them, I will give them later. Again, I'm not going to show this first video on screen. It shows the assassination from several different angles. It doesn't, from what I've seen, it doesn't show the blood shot, but it shows the shot, so I'm not going to show it. But I think his analysis is important. It's the only analysis like this that I've found in the search that I've done since I decided to stream this morning. This is officially, we'll go down to this screen real quick so I can show you like Marcus J. Allen, ex-sniper, breaking down Charlie Kirk's assassination, all initial camera angles, analyzed is the video that I'm going to be watching. This is officially a coffee with Knox because I am still, even though I've been up since like 2:30 in the morning, I'm still drinking coffee. I just, I did my one pot. But then I went and got some breakfast from McDonald's and got an extra coffee for the day. So this is an official coffee with Knox as we break this down. Yeah, so I'm going to play this, and I think this is a pretty sound analysis.
This is a dark day for our state. It's a tragic day for our nation.
Real quick, this is low. I have it as loud as I can pump it. So like his voice is going to be pretty low. So if you need to turn up your volume for this, I'll try. I mean, I'll have to pause occasionally, and I know my microphone volume is loud. In fact, I'm going to turn down my microphone volume a little bit because I know that this video is low. So hopefully that'll help a little bit. But yeah.
I want to be very clear that this is a political assassination. We are celebrating 250 years of the founding of this great nation. That founding document, the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, probably goes on to talk about the importance of free speech. I was a fan of Charlie Kirk, not because I agreed with everything he said, but because I'm a fan of anybody who has the bravery and courage to get up and say something that is uncomfortable, that's hard to hear, that everyone won't agree with, that some people will want to kill you over. And it finally caught up to him. So first thing is I respect him. I don't agree with everything he said, but I respect him. And this is an important moment. And I think this is a turning point in our generation's story, really. So for me, I've just watched this play out over the past few hours, trying to piece together what's happening. Like, I'm most interested in, is this a lucky shot or is this planned, intentional? That's kind of just what I'm interested in. As a prior Marine Corps Scout Sniper, Force Recon Marine, I'm interested in people who, it's painful to say, but I'm interested in the craft of killing, death. I'm interested in how people pull it off. I'm interested in modern day assassinations, and on one hand, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, I imagine Charlie Kirk's beautiful kids watching this, seeing their dad, and it just breaks my heart. On the other hand, this is what I do. So I just pieced together all the videos I could find in real time as I kind of watched it unfold. And for myself, I'm trying to understand what the truth is. And so this is kind of how things unfolded in the past few hours. So the first videos I came across on Twitter was, of course, Charlie arriving. And this venue is huge. But already I know I saw, obviously the first video I saw was...
All right, real quick, we'll go up here just so you can see, like, the shots that he's getting, like, are on-the-ground shots from several different angles. It's not going to show anything right at first. I'll let you kind of see, like, what he's seeing. You know, so, like, this was a huge crowd. And I don't know if this is, like, a standard Charlie Kirk crowd. I'm assuming it's probably similar to most crowds he's drawing these days, right? I could probably turn my camera up a little bit, at least according to the volume monitors. It's like really low on my screen. I don't know how it's coming through to you guys. But like, this is the shots he's getting. Like, he got like a lot of on the ground shots. Like, I don't know where this dude got his shots from, but he has pretty good angles. And like, I'm not going to show like the assassination shots. I know that they're on the web if you want to find them. I have seen what I call the blood shot. I don't really encourage anybody to go watch that. It's very, very, very disturbing. I dreamt about it last night. It was in my dreams. It was awful. Nobody deserves this. Like, nobody deserves... Like, I know, like... We are trying to fight fascism here in America, but we have to do it peacefully, because the fascists are in control. You know, and I haven't called them fascists until now, but like we can't run away from calling, calling strikes and curveballs. Like, you know, like we got to call it how we see it, and we can't allow them to bully us into not calling it how we see it. They are in control, so we've got to defeat them politically while we can. I know all of the arguments against that, but we have to be better, and they're going to utilize this. They already are, without any of the information. You know, so these kinds of acts will only embolden them and give them more power. So that, but these are the angles. Again, I probably could show this to you guys. Because like he doesn't show the bloodshot, but it's disturbing just to see like Charlie's getting hit. It really is, especially like even for me as a person that has covered him in opposition for a very long time. It's hard to see him being hit. So I'm going to continue.
We're not counting gang violence. Great. Oh my God. Great.
So we just watched several.
My first thought is
we just watched Charlie get hit from several different angles.
It's a single shot. It's well placed, not perfect,
anyway.
But well placed enough to be like, okay, that's not luck. We have to take a position. Is it luck or is it not luck? And one single well placed rifle shot in a venue like this, where a rifle is hard to get through, navigate, and to conceal. And for it to be well placed, it was effective. It did hit him. It did kill him ultimately. And they're still looking for the suspect. So that all tells me is it's not luck.
So this former Marine sniper is telling you that this was not a lucky shot. And the fact that the guy only shot once, right? He only shot one shot. He knew the moment he pulled the trigger that Charlie Kirk just died. He knew it the moment he pulled the trigger. There was no doubt. There was no second shot. This was a professional assassination, without a doubt. And listen to the other fact pointed out. This guy not only seems to have made it to the roof, avoiding pretty much all detection, avoiding, I'm sure they're going through the security footage now, but avoiding any red flags, carrying what must be a broken down long rifle, which, even broken down is going to be noticeable probably. but probably in a backpack, so probably not so noticeable. I don't know. I've never broken down a long rifle to know if it could fit in like a standard backpack. I don't know. most rifle cases are longer in nature, So I do assume like the perpetrator didn't use a standard case, but at the same time, this seems to have been a person that was very capable of committing this assassination.
And of course, the first suspect that they thought it was this goofball.
I will show this part because I think this part is important, and I don't think we're going to see Charlie get hit during this section.
How dare you! How dare you!
But when I saw that, I was just like, there's no way, if we take the position that this is luck, or it's not luck, then there's no way this guy did it. He's a goofball, he's overweight, he's old, he was in the middle of the crowd. Where's the rifle? They're even saying like the police are saying we don't know it's him. Like, you're damn right you don't know it's him. Where's the long rifle? That would be impossible to conceal. And some people just will do anything for attention. And I think that's one thing that I just came to realize really quickly is, okay, this guy, apparently this is him, transgender, and...
Yeah, see, this person's information was all over Twitter, like right after this happened. It didn't take long, which I'm not sure, how soon they released the name or any of that, but it did not take long at all for them to have a narrative running.
This is a lot of allegation, or like, I don't know the facts of everything. This is just what was presented on Twitter in real time, so could be wrong. But ultimately, the point is, I don't think that this guy, at the time, I was like, this guy is not the main suspect.
So, and this guy's pointing out, like, this is clearly not the guy that did this. This is not the guy that got through the crowds unnoticed. This is not the guy that ran up the hilltop, unfit. Like me trying to run up, because people have videos of this rooftop, and you can actually get to it from the ground level because it's kind of like a sloped roof. So you can climb up the roof. But like if I, even though I've lost several pounds now, try to climb up this roof, like I'm going to be out of breath. I'm going to be sweaty. Like you're going to tell that I just trying to climb up this roof and then I just ran back down. Where's the rifle at? Like this is clearly not the guy that committed this assassination. And like this ex-Marine is telling you that, like just from like, looking at pictures, little video clips of the dude. Like, no, you're telling me this is not the guy.
If this was in fact not a lucky shot, if this wasn't.
No, he would not have been a part of the crowd, but he would have been going through crowds going to the venue, right? There would have been several people all over the campus, and the building was close enough to the crowd. Like I think it's safe to assume he was getting through people heading to this venue to get there. I don't know how long into this was. I could be off on that, so I will give you that. But like, to go undetected still, I think requires some finesse. You're gonna have, Charlie has to, they didn't have scanners, but he did have security agents. You see security agents run and fall on top of him as soon as he gets shot. Surely he had security around the campus. He's been doing this for a long time. I'm sure he's gotten a lot of death threats. So yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to assume like there's a lot of skill that went into this to getting there. Especially like if you watch the video of the guy on the roof. The one guy like next to him is describing how he had seen the guy run across the roof. So like it was pretty quick. Like the guy ran across the roof and then laid down and yeah.
Intentional.
Gang violence. Great.
And then secondly, that's
200 yards
that's
away,
a rifle
yeah.
shot.
But you're talking probably at least 1,000 people were there at the venue. You're probably going to have a lot of college students lounging around outside of the venue that maybe, I don't know if it's a ticketed venue. I'm assuming that it is. And again, security are probably roaming the campus grounds. Yeah. It's my opinion, but I could be wrong.
Overhead.
Great.
But the The thing is that's interesting is that it's an open shot.
As far as I know,
it's not
Puff, they
suppressed,
have not caught
and
him
it
yet.
sounds like it was shot in the open, like open
And I did show a Charlie scene there. I apologize for that.
space. It echoes the way it reverberates throughout that.
Great.
So yeah, I do apologize for that. I was trying to avoid that, but I did not mean to do that. And if that affected anybody out there, I do sincerely apologize. I meant to go back up to the screen before we got back to the actual coverage. Now I put it back a little bit so we can kind of listen to what he's saying.
It's like this guy's not the main suspect if this was in fact not a lucky shot. If this was intentional.
Gang violence. Great.
And then secondly, that's a rifle shot.
All right, no, we didn't see it. Thankfully, I don't think so.
But the thing is that's interesting is
unless you saw that one.
that it's an open shot. It's not suppressed, and it sounds like it was shot in the open, like open space. It echoes the way it reverberates throughout this auditorium. It kind of, and I have a map right here. The auditorium kind of sinks down, and if it was a professional sniper, they would be inside a building, shooting from inside cover, and that would absorb a lot of that kind of reverberation. It would sound a little different. This shot sounds like it was shot like in an open field with unsuppressed rifle, about a .556 caliber, and so then there's this mixture of professionalism and unprofessionalism, which is the most interesting part about this. So the shooter is competent enough to get the shot. Of course, it wasn't, and we'll see later, it wasn't perfectly placed. It was well placed, but not perfectly placed. It got the job done. But if it was, this is 200 yards. A 200-yard shot with a long rifle, you should be able to place that on a penny.
All right, so this guy's analysis just said that a lot of this is professional and some of it is unprofessional. And I think that that's a very important piece of this guy's analysis because it kind of goes to what I'm thinking has probably happened here. But I'll save that for later. And again, all assumptions, I gave the facts that we know, that it seems to be one shooter. There was one shot fired. The shot fired was a kill shot. And I think he's about to talk about the particular kill shot. Hopefully we didn't miss that part because I think that's vital as well. That's the whole reason I kind of decided to share this analysis this morning.
Exactly where you want it. And it was low. So let's go back to the video and keep watching.
He did it. I think that
This videos of them carrying away
Dare you! I dare you!
the first suspect. And then we have the videos of them taking Charlie to the hospital. And then we'll come back to this because this is the venue shots. And so this is the old suspect. They take him away. You hear the police saying, "We don't know if it's him. We don't know if it's him." Let's hear that.
I don't know if it's him or not.
We don't know if it's him or not. You can hear the police. So they're kind of frustrated, but this guy just clearly wanted attention. Perhaps if this is some elaborate thing, he was paid off to get attention, but that would create too many rabbit trails. As soon as there's money involved and people can follow money in bank accounts and
So somebody had suggested that, in this guy's chat, I'm assuming that, maybe he was trying to draw attention away from the shooter, and he's just clearly breaking it down. That would create too many, money trails. It would just that's probably not the case.
payments, you're smoked. So.
And I agree, Halcyonic Caillou. Imagine being someone who is an activist, but the most extreme thing they do is spend all day at a protest making noise and chanting phrases, maybe making some people angry regularly, and you see yourself portrayed on a global level as a killer when you are not. Yeah, I mean, that would just be a fucked up thing. This dude's, was spread across the, for the whole world to think that he just assassinated Charlie Kirk. And how many people are still going to think he assassinated Charlie Kirk? Especially as long as the longer it takes to actually catch the culprit, because I did see, like, somebody said they have a suspect of interest, but that's all. As far as I understand, they ruled that suspect out. I think I might have something on it. If I don't have something on it, I'll try to remember to find something on it. Unless, you know, like, they've caught somebody again and they have, like, a third suspect. The second suspect that I went to bed to, as far as I saw this morning, is no longer a suspect of interest. That they had the wrong guy again. That's as far as I know. I guess I might be wrong on that.
But who knows? I'm just thinking in real time.
Well, that guy.
So then they get into this is the immediate reporting afterwards. And I was starting to listen because I'm trying to understand, okay, what are people on the ground saying about what they heard and what happened?
They say they did hear just one shot.
Well, that guy. I don't think he did it. I think they arrested the wrong guy. I think whoever did it was a good shooter.
So you got two clips that I found important. Was one, it was a single shot that no one heard two shots. So one single shot. That's a sign of competency.
A shooter.
When you heard the shot, did it sound like it was close, near to where he was speaking, or did it sound like it was coming from afar, maybe in the back of the crowd, or could you tell?
No, it sounded like it was the back of the crowd, which was pretty wild. I don't know though. It's like it must have been closer, but then again, it's like if it was that close, how did nobody else?
It's the telltale sign of a sniper. You know, people are amazed about how accurate it was. It must have been close, but it sounded far. It is clearly far. I mean, you can, if we go back to the shot over again.
Not counting gang violence. Great.
You can hear it come overhead, but it's close because the impact it follows the shot so closely. If it was a really long distance, you'd see Charlie, his head would whip back, he would collapse, and then you would hear the sound a second later. But this is close.
Not counting gang violence. Great.
Immediately, it's bam. Oh, first his head jerks, which would make sense because the bullet is traveling faster than sound, so he would have no chance of hearing it. The bullet would hit.
So if you haven't seen the video, like, the shot was dead center in the throat. It hit the artery. I mean, Charlie Kirk. They say like he hung on for like an hour. That's really phenomenal because he was dead. He was dead the moment he was shot.
Hit him, lights would go out, and then you would hear the sound, and that's exactly what happened.
Counting gang violence. Great.
His head jerks, and then you hear the sound, and then it hits an artery, which hits this artery right here. Immediately.
So he pointed, the shot hit this artery right here. The carotid artery. I'm butchering that. Is kind of what he pointed at right there. And if you see the shot, it's dead center in the neck. It's brutal.
Just pints and pints of blood are pouring out. Very, very, very low chance of survival. The thing that's interesting, though, is the bullet wound was, and I'm blurring it here, but the bullet wound is if it was a bigger round, even a .308, there would be, I think, a little more swelling, a little bit more like a vacuum implosion when a big round enters a vacuum. It goes inside and sucks a bunch of air in, and then the air explodes and expands out, and there's a lot more trauma and swelling. But this round looks like a 5.56 type of a round, a smaller round, but enough to do a lot of trauma once it gets inside the body. But clearly it just severed the artery, the carotid artery on his left side. And the shot comes from the left. So that's another detail I'm looking for. So the shot is coming. They're in an auditorium, and it's a concave. So the shooter had to have been shooting at an elevated position downward and somewhere a little off to the left side because it hits the left side, but straight. We'll see earlier that there's not many places.
Yeah, I'll take his word on that because when I saw it, it kind of looked dead center of the throat. But if he's indeed an ex-sniper, I'll take his eyes better than mine. As you can see, I'm wearing my glasses. All right, cool. I hit the wrong button there. But we didn't see anything.
If we try to angle it in a similar way, all these buildings right here were filled with people. These rooftops were filled with people. All this courtyard area and auditorium was completely filled with people. So there's no way someone's just going to be in the middle of a crowd and pull out a pistol and get one accurate shot like that, luckily, because someone around them would.
All right, so he's saying that there were people on this rooftop, and I think this is the rooftop the shooter was on. I could be wrong about that. It might have been the one way back there. But I'm going to guess it's like this one that I'm pointing to with my arrow, because it was about a 200-yard shot, and that looks about 200 yards. That one, that looks a lot farther away. So I think it was this rooftop. It looks like he said that there was people on this area, which I'm assuming somebody that was up here probably got the video footage of the guy or whoever it was, because we can't assume anything at this point about the shooter. I mean, we can't assume anything at this point that's like legit. You know, I think that we can infer things, but then again, it's probably irresponsible to do that. You know, like I don't even know. Like I have like things that I'm inferring from this, things that I'm thinking, and it's not like CIA, you know, but I think that there's a lot of like possibilities of what might be happening here. And I think, like, you know, one of the things people are talking about that I've seen, people, you know, on the left that are familiar with Charlie Kirk, like personally, on a personal level, but also like some folks on the right, I've seen talk about it, how recently, like, Charlie Kirk really seemed to be having issues with neo-Nazis. And, you know, like one of the inferences this guy makes from his analysis is there's a lot of professionalism here, but there's also a lot of non-professionalism here. And I think that could point, you know, to like maybe a militant white supremacist group that has some issue with Charlie Kirk for whatever reason. It could be somebody that has chosen to highly train himself. Several, you know, many people in America have. White nationalist groups, you know, state militias, those types of organizations tend to practice scenarios like this. There's, you know, we're finding out with the Minneapolis shooter about organizations whose pretty much main worldview and political ideology is nothing more than to create and sow chaos in America. You know, so like I think that there's a lot of different possibilities, and I think that if an expert's looking at this and saying like, no, this person's highly trained, obviously one shot, he knew that the shot did the job he wanted it to do. He got in and out of that crowd. You know, he escaped detection afterwards. So far as I know, he's escaped detection up to this point. I keep saying he, but they, whoever they are, you know, I think it could imply that, you know, but again, who fucking knows at this point? Nobody fucking knows. And it definitely wasn't a war started by the Democratic Party against Republicans. We'll get into all of those numbers later, and we'll get into how this like rhetoric that certain Republicans seem to be spouting, C.J. Cox and others, especially like political leaders on the floor of Congress, during like a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, insinuating that a war has been started, and like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, if I was a lefty content creator, whether they are liberal, whether they are far left, max left, whatever, I wouldn't be making any public appearances. Like Hassan likes to do a lot of public appearances. I wouldn't do it. I would not do it. If you're on the right, I wouldn't fucking do it anymore. I don't think it's safe anymore. But all right, we'll continue. I'm going to go, because I know he's going to be showing more shots of the shooting, I do believe. So we'll go back up here.
Bump them, and no professional would take that risk. And then if you're further away, you're looking, it has to be somewhere.
Well, I agree and disagree. I think that he probably must have had plenty of security working the crowd. Because at this point, like, he's got protesters that follow him. He's had to have had plenty of death threats throughout his career. Now, I'm not saying like it wouldn't be anything like Secret Service, but I'm sure he did have some kind of security detail working the crowd, working the grounds. He definitely had security detail that fell on top of him, 2 or 3 security guards that fell on top of him right after he was shot. But minimal, definitely, to the point like they weren't. There were no scanners for guns. It doesn't seem like they were really patting anybody down. It doesn't seem like there was like a high threat level this day. I'm sure that some events are probably higher threat level than others, and they probably thought, like, as far as I know, Utah is like a pretty solid red state. Utah University might be a more favorable crowd than universities. I don't know. I don't know none of these things, but maybe there's a reason why, like, this guy was able to get up to that rooftop. But again, like even right-wing militias, they will train for these kind of things. They train for this. And if you are having issues with some of these folks, it's very, very scary. Even for a person like myself. Like I talked about the NIFB yesterday. I could talk about the Black Hebrew Israelites that were coming after me for a couple of my videos. That was probably the scariest time that I had, where I thought like there was a real possibility that I could just be fucking assassinated, walking down the street of Battle Creek. It was a scary time for me. The Black Hebrew Israelites, the ISUPK, known for violence.
Over here. Unless there's some higher buildings. But we do have a shot of the.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it was some kind of like Secret Service level of security detail for sure. And again, like this is not the way. Like I don't have the Tilly video, or this is not the way that you defeat Charlie Kirk. If this turns out to be some left-wing assassin. That left-wing assassin just did more damage to left-wing politics than anybody else in the history of the country. It just doesn't. This is not the way you defeat your political enemies. You defeat your political enemies like the students at Cambridge did, like Tilly did, like I showed a week and a half ago. You defeat them in debate. You defeat them with truth. You don't shoot them in the neck. And the other thing that I want to reiterate that I reiterated yesterday. Whatever you think of Charlie Kirk, one thing you cannot take away from this young man, and I can say that because I'm damn near 50 now, is that he had fucking balls. He was brave. He had to have known that he was a target, and he still continued to go to these college campuses. He stood there unafraid right up until the moment that he was taken out. And whatever you think of him as a human being, you should appreciate that. That is bravery. And I don't think I could fucking do it. So I do want to reiterate that. Like, this should not be, a time to use this man for any political purpose. Outside of, like, we need to find who killed him, and then we can discuss why this happened. But we do need to talk about the overlying issues of these things. Now, if this is a targeted assassination, I don't think you can lay that at the feet of a gun problem in America or at the feet of mental illness. But I mean, maybe mental illness to an extent, but it's more along the lines of like political ideology, training, capacity to kill. Like this would be an outlier in the general conversation on gun violence. So like if this does turn out to be like a targeted assassination attempt by a highly trained individual, then I don't think the normal gun debate is called for in this instance either. It's just like we need the overlying message of what happened yesterday should be political violence is not okay. It wasn't okay when it was happening to Democratic politicians in Minnesota a month and a half ago. It's not okay when it's happening to Donald Trump on the campaign trail. It's not okay when it's happening to Charlie Kirk yesterday. It's not okay to take out your political enemies with violence. Like, it is 2025. I know, like, we're not beyond that as a society, but we need to try to be. We need to try to be until we can no longer be. Like, it should always be, like, last resort, and nothing like this. Like, I'm talking, like, on a revolutionary level. It should be, like, last resort to take up arms against your country. Last resort. No other fucking option. And like I said yesterday, I think there's still plenty of fucking option for political avenues to even defeat fascism in America. I don't think we've come to the point of civil war revolution yet. Even though I called for that shit, I saw the beginnings of that shit when I first started doing YouTube. I got all my edited videos up. I haven't went through them much yet. I'm pretty sure they're still up now. So like, you can find me like talking about that shit when I first started YouTube 7 fucking years ago. Like, I saw, like, we are tending towards more political violence, not away from it. And, you know, saying that Democrats have started a war on you because whoever it is took out this shooter. And if the shooter has been caught, please post that in the side chat and we will find that information, and maybe we'll start getting some idea of the political motivation behind this shooting. But right now, it could be a number of possibilities. It could be a left-wing extremist. It could be a liberal who is more pro-gun and has trained with guns his entire life. It could be a right-winger who's mad that Charlie Kirk doesn't seem to care that Trump is covering up the Epstein files. It could be one of these neo-Nazi groups that Charlie Kirk has been reportedly beefing with in the last few months. I do know I'm pretty sure I've seen like Nick Fuentes, whatever the fuck his name is like pretty much feuding with every other fucking conservative content creator there is, and his groypers are all fucking neo-Nazis. But I heard it was more like, neo-Nazi groups coming after Charlie Kirk for very specific reasons. I'm just not very familiar with it. I haven't really seen any of it myself. I've only heard people talking about it, so I don't know as to the accuracy of that. But like, it could be a range of possibilities, right? Like, to arrange that this could be a black ops CIA fucking hit, like trying to rile up dissension. And Donald Trump doesn't need to know about that for that to be one of the fucking possibilities, right? It could be a possibility that it was a black ops CIA hit and Donald Trump wasn't informed about it at all, because the CIA has a history of propping up right-wing governments and a history of kind of trying to hide shit from the executive branch. Like, nobody's been like looking at the CIA recently. It's all been focused on the FBI, on fucking ICE, and whatever the fuck Tulsi Gabbard's doing, whatever madness that is today, or RFK Jr. Nobody's been talking about the CIA. Who the fuck they got in charge over there? What the fuck's going on over there? But I don't even think it's that. I think it's most likely, from the information I have at this point, like, he was beefing with some people that go out in the woods once a month, every month, and train for this shit. That's kind of where I'm leading. I don't think it was the CIA. I don't think it was a left-wing extremist. But I don't fucking know, because nobody fucking knows at this point, unless they found the guy and we're starting to get, or the guy or person, and I continue to say guy, and we'll get to the numbers shortly. But the overwhelming amount of people that do these things are men, and the majority of those of the people that do these things are white men. So I think we can, I shouldn't be assuming it's a he, but that's just probably my brain doing it because I know the numbers on it.
Run of the main suspect on a rooftop, so we'll get to that, and then try to line it up to see which building it was. So there's somebody on
Well, and that's kind of this guy's analysis too, Gio, saying like there's professional things about it and there's unprofessional things about it. Like, I think his analysis is like, this isn't like, somebody trained by the people that trained him, but this is somebody that, probably trained himself to be highly accurate and Yeah, probably some at-home training involved. A lot of it.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
So then after the first wave of commotion, a lot of people were speculating. I was listening in on a Twitter live. People were trying to confirm, did Charlie pass away? Was he still alive? What was his condition? And then eventually he did pass away. And President Trump tweeted this out that he passed away, and that kind of confirmed it. And then there was
and I would think that like a highly trained professional assassin could actually make it look like he wasn't as highly trained as he is. Like he's probably like, if it was like a highly trained assassin, right? Like, you know, and they exist. I don't think anybody is foolish enough to think that they don't. For whatever government. Like, I said CIA, but instill any fucking government, right? Like there could be, like, this could be some foreign fucking country who wants to rile up dissension in America, right? Like, this could be a plethora of possibilities because we just don't know. But, like, the point is good. Like, this, I think the person would be good enough to kind of throw some smoke trails and make it kind of look, oh, maybe this guy isn't as professional as it appears he is with his shot, you know, and yeah, like it does appear like he got away unless they've caught him since I've been awake, because, you know, they, as far as I know, they let the second guy go too.
Reports that the suspect in custody, they let him go, or it wasn't really him. They got the wrong shooter, which was kind of obvious.
The best lit.
So what is the link? I'm not sure what's going on in the side check. I'm muted. I'm not sure what's going on in the side chat with the link, but I'll let you guys handle that. I've got a lot to get through today, so I'm going to try to get through the rest of this video, or at least part of it. I've watched a part of the analysis that I wanted to watch, but we'll listen to some more.
And then this other wave of video came out that I started downloading. And then now I'm more paying attention to the line of sight and the path of the bullet. So this is showing the kind of the depression that this auditorium is in. It goes down, and then so the shooter would have to have been somewhere probably on this building is what I'm looking for.
All right, we'll share this screen. So what he's looking at right here is the line of sight of the shooter, and this seems to be a pretty good shot. He's saying the shooter was right up here. Right, and that's where I thought, like, all right, so you can see the people right up here on that building, and then the shooter was right up here, and he's pointing out this compression, like the ground kind of dips right here. So the shooter's here, there's a dip in the ground, so people's heads are lower for the shot to actually make it to Charlie Kirk. So this person chose the assassination site well in advance, understood the ground, understood the terrain. I think all indications are pointing to this is a highly trained political assassination.
Over the last 10 years. Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
It just sounds like a sniper rifle.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
Just awful.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
Here's a picture I found. People are saying, or measuring the distance, and this is 200.
Oh, you're saying it's for me? Let me see if I can click on it. Wow. So, like, do they have this guy? Is this a person that's in custody right now? But that was 16 hours ago when this Reddit was posted. I'm looking at. Let's see if I can. So I'm not sure what this is. Let me get my OBS back up here. So this Omar person says, Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him literally. Let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. And this was on September 9th. So that's what I'm looking at right now. All right, thank you for that, Calcionic Kaiju. Huh. That's interesting. I want. Hopefully they found this person and they've spoken to this person.
Good. 500 feet.
Right up.
Yeah.
Then this.
Yeah, hopefully they have spoken to that person, whoever that person is.
Right
So
here.
there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying? He just ran from,
I'm going to try to share this part without showing anything, because this is the person on the roof. And I don't know, if you haven't seen this footage, you should see this footage. So he's showing like the different roof angles, and this is the footage of the person on the roof.
Then this video comes out.
He'd already be in place.
you would think
You can see him right there, the silhouette, like, it's like the top silhouette of him right here. He's clearly probably laying flat on his belly. It appears like he is camouflaged in some way, like it's a dark silhouette. That could be just the lighting of the camera. It could be like the individual has made himself hard to see. Like from this angle, like it's hard to make out that that's a human being, right? Like it looks like that could be part of the roof, right? So that would make it very hard to detect this person from like a long ways away.
Right here.
Oh, no. Oh. All right, I didn't mean to play it, but I'm glad I did, because that's the zoom in. You know, I got to be careful with this. When he does show the bloodshot, and he showed it a couple times, he does blur it out so you don't see like the bad stuff. But still, I don't want to show it. That's a choice that I'm making. But you can see it like when he zooms in, kind of maybe the head right here, down to the back, maybe wearing some kind of backpack that he carried his rifle in, possibly. I don't know. But again, this is the footage that seems to be available that people are looking at.
Just saying? He just ran from, over, where's my thing?
In all black, looks like, appears to be.
I agree, Gio. Like
So there's somebody on the roof right there?
I'm really glad that I found this, because he does seem to know exactly what the fuck he's talking about.
I saw him walking on
I
it.
think he'd already be in place.
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof.
So these kids are, I think, suspecting that if this is a security sniper, that he should already be there, and this is kind of late for him to be arriving.
Just saying.
But of course, it's really hard for someone like this to suspect that this is actually an assassin. Like, it's the last thing you would think if you're not used to this kind of environment. Here's the best video we have to really show that, okay, this was what we think. Here you can see the shooter up here on the roof.
All right, we'll share this part, because this is another really good angle of the shooter on the roof as the shot was fired. You're going to see the reaction of the crowd. You're not going to hear the shot, but this is a pretty good shot here.
Running. And that must be...
All right, I'm hitting my button at the wrong times. I went back a little bit, and I'll try to stop it when you can see it. All right, so right there's a good shot of it. I wish it was a little bigger. We'll go to full screen. So you got the crowd here, and they're already starting to duck. So the shot's just been fired, right? The shot's just been fired. Crowd's starting to duck down immediately. Right there's your shooter, right there. That little dot on the rooftop is your shooter. Right there. That's a great shot of, you know, of the silhouette, like what you would see from, I don't know, 150 yards away.
And that must be
like this person chose a really
this
good spot
right
to make this shoot.
Let's see if we can. The teenagers must have been right over here. Filming the video.
Again, I'm not sure if we're gonna get any other
they're on this
shooting,
large
so I'm
sidewalk,
just gonna keep it on this screen.
Walking area, and then we got the 3 steps right here. Let's see if it lines up. Yeah, that's got to be it. So there's somewhere he's filming us somewhere on this path, and then you have these 3 stages, and the shooter is somewhere up here. So that shooter knew what he was doing. On one hand, he knew where he was going. He knew what position he needed to be in to get the shot. This was planned to some extent. But it's just interesting that if I was the shooter, I would have been inside this building. I would have somehow found a way to shoot from inside this building. Who knows if it was possible, but maybe it wasn't possible. But exposing yourself as a silhouette walking on a rooftop all in black is a crazy amount of risk to take as a professional.
All right, so and that's, you know, is that smoke screen, or is that just implication that, you know, this wasn't a professional in the regards of, you know, that they have done several of these hits, that they work for some intelligence apparatus that have supplied serious training to them, right? But still understands what the fuck he's doing, you know, has chosen a great spot. And again, like that, and that's the other thing, to make your way in broad daylight, wearing all black, you know, like it seems like he was prepared to be on the roof, but like that might have been noticeable. Again, we don't know. We don't know what he was wearing. Maybe he had something in his backpack that could cover him up once he was on the roof real quickly. These are all things that we have no idea at this point. But I do think that this guy does a pretty spot-on analysis. We've got like 4 minutes left, and then I've got a lot to look at and talk about, especially in regards to what Republicans have been saying about this. I'm not sure how much more we'll watch of this, but we'll definitely listen to some more, because I do think that it's been a really good analysis of the shooting. Probably the best one we're going to find.
So those are things that tell me that this is like an amateur, right? Professional enough to do it, but not professional enough to get away.
Halcyonic, he might have gone up there early in the morning and just camped out until it was time, arrived before anyone was around. That would go against what, like, the person that recorded the video, they didn't record the guy running across the roof, but he said he had just seen the guy run across the roof and lay down there. So that implies like the person came late to the event, and ran up there and in short order got his gun out, assembled, and made the shot. But again, I don't think that's definitive proof of that, and it's I think probably a definite possibility. But I think that the longer you're there, the more apt you are to be exposed. I think it makes more sense to be on the rooftop, especially as he's pointing out, like if you're a professional, you're going to try to get in the building and shoot from the building if at all possible, because you're leaving yourself so exposed. And I don't think you would leave yourself exposed for that long a period to make it to that point of the day. But definitely a possibility. Definitely has merit to that idea.
Away with it. And that's my current take on it. So of course I'm gonna be looking to see if they catch this individual, and I'm curious to know who was this person. But the suspect right now has changed to this person right here.
All right, so I did not see this part earlier. So this is Omar right here. Again, I guess that was the suspect last night. Now, as far as I understand, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, let's see. I'll go to see if like CNN has anything on the shooter actually being arrested. Yeah, 2 hours ago, manhunt continues for Charlie Kirk's killer. As far as I understand, if that's the second person, and that's what this guy just said, if that's the person they had last night, and that's the what we had looked at, Halcyonic, as far as I understand, now I could be wrong, and hopefully I am, because I think that they at least should still be investigating this person for if they posted this the day before it happened. But as far as I understand, this person has been let go and deemed not the shooter. But I could be wrong on that. But that is. I'm glad that we at least watched it to this part. Now I am going to move on. I do got other stuff I want to. So this is what I kind of woke up to. This is the Midas report. Now I do still consider myself a leftist. I wouldn't say I'm max leftist, but I'm a leftist. I'm a far leftist. I'm an economic socialist. But I think I'm an American first, and I believe in American democracy. And I try to watch a wide range of political comment. And I think for moderates, Midas Touch have a pretty good Israel stance. As far as I've seen, I haven't seen anything that I dislike. So I really like watching them, even though I understand that their politics are a lot more moderate than I am. They're a lot more capitalist than I am. But I think, they're mostly lawyers on the channel, and I think they usually have pretty good takes. This is what I woke up to. So this is what I was kind of drawing from this and like the other reports that I had seen, that that they let the first suspect, or because I went to bed, they had another suspect that Kash Patel had announced. And then I woke up and they had let that suspect go. Wasn't the shooter. Still haven't found the shooter as far as we know.
The FBI, led by Kash Patel, just made a major error in the investigation of Charlie Kirk's assassination at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. As you'll recall, earlier in the day, Charlie Kirk was doing a speaking engagement outside. He was shot once in the neck by an individual who was believed to be about 200 yards away at the Losi Center, which is on campus. We have a diagram here, so you can see where the Losi Center is relative to where Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. And again, he was shot and killed in the neck. But Kash Patel, the FBI director, came out with a statement saying that the subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you to the local and state authorities in Utah.
Can't be doing that today. Got to be hitting the mute button. Can't be talking to a muted microphone. Not today. Not ever. We're not gonna do that no more. Even though I just did it. Yeah, too much light in the room, so I fixed it. I fixed the too much light in the room.
For your partnership with the FBI, we will provide updates when available. Then, I guess about an hour later or so, FBI Director Kash Patel then posts, "The subject in custody has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues, and we will continue to release information in interest of transparency." Now, this was actually not the first time they got the wrong guy in connection with this assassination. At first, they had this guy in custody right here. I'm not going to give his name, and I'm not going to show his face because he had nothing to do with the shooting, but everybody was pointing to this guy. He was someone who was known to be at Republican gatherings and political gatherings in general. He had lots of misdemeanors in the past, but people generally viewed him as somebody who suffered from mental issues and would not.
So, and that's kind of the fucked up thing about the first person. I didn't really point it out. I wanted to wait because I knew that they were going to make that point. This person was a known activist. You know, like, probably follows Charlie Kirk to, like, every fucking Charlie Kirk event, right? Like, to immediately go after this person, it just seems ridiculous. Like, this is the guy you thought made that shot. Like our FBI, our police cannot be that inept. Like, why do we spend all this money to militarize our police force, to train them as military, and they're this inept? Like, that just seems like really fucking ridiculous.
Not have the capability to be an assassin like this, but he was the first person. Then separately, they were saying that there was someone who they said was around 25 years old or in that age range, and they claimed that they found a rifle among this individual's belongings, and then they brought this individual in for interrogation. Now, Kash Patel immediately posted, "We've got the guy." I mean, you saw what he said. If you just looked at what the gun was that was in his vehicle, it was actually a Ruger Yukon Magnum pellet gun. It was not the type of
fucking pellet gun. But I mean, I met, like, I don't think you now, like, if you get somebody walking through the crowd or walking away from the shooting site and they have a long rifle on them, automatic suspect. But I don't think in, like, Utah, I don't know their gun laws in Utah, but I know, like, the statistics behind red states, and I'm assuming that there was probably a lot of people that had guns in their automobiles at the very least. I don't know open carry laws in Utah, but if they have open carry and they weren't checking for guns, there was probably several guns in the crowd. You know, like, this is the America we live in today. Like, I don't live in a red state. I live in a purple state, but even here in Michigan, we have open carry laws. So it's like, it's not often, but every once in a while, you'll see somebody with their gat, you know, in a fucking grocery store. You know, it's like, I'm sure, like, yeah, that might be a cause for suspicion. Look into the guy, clear the guy, whatever. But that's not going to be an automatic. You know, we have our guy if you find a rifle in a truck somewhere in a red state or any state for that matter in America. And it's like, why does it seem like the FBI is just jumping on any fucking dude, right? Like, and that goes to speak like. I ain't even going to say that. But, like, why? Like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, I know our FBI is better than that, even under this administration. Has to be. Has to be. And this is your guy. This is a champion for your politics. You've got to be better than that.
Gun that would be used in an incident like this, so it'd be pretty obvious. But this was the video circulating of the other guy, the second guy, who was not the right person, who they claimed was the assassin. Play this clip.
I think they just found the guy right outside of Carry On. Rifle on this dude's dash, and they just handcuffed him.
So if they're saying that's the second guy, that doesn't look like the picture that we saw of Omar. So I'm not sure how accurate that Omar information was at the end of the last video. Maybe it was the Omar person. I don't know. It just doesn't look like the picture. At least maybe the person cut their hair. I don't know. So maybe it was Omar. Just doesn't, like, from that angle. They said the person looks 25, and from this angle, the person doesn't look 25 to me. So it's probably just a blurry video coverage.
here you can see them pull out that pellet gun. I'm going to show you this video right here.
Yeah, that's clearly not the weapon that killed Charlie Kirk. Like, come the fuck on. Are you kidding me?
Now, we're getting additional information about this shooting. Again, as you know, it took place outside in kind of the campus center area of Utah Valley University. The shooter was on top of the Losi Center, and it seems that you can access that Losi Center actually without even having to climb it. That roof kind of runs parallel with raised grass, so you can almost walk directly on the roof. There's been this footage that has emerged of an individual spotted on the roof of the Losi Center at UVU moments before Charlie Kirk was shot. Again, I want to be clear, it's still unconfirmed that this was the shooter.
Right, and you should be able to hear the person talking about seeing the and I, like they just said, it's still unconfirmed if this was indeed the shooter, but this is where we think this was the shooter. And you should be able to hear the person say, like, they saw the person run across the roof right before they started filming.
But the location, timing, and angle has some level of consistency there, but I don't want to venture into speculation. But here, play this video.
Getting right up.
Yeah. You think he'd already be in place?
You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying? He just ran from over, where's my finger?
Now,
yeah, so you just heard him there, like, there's somebody on the roof over there, and he just ran from over there, you know, so yeah, it appears like the guy just ran from over there. But again, like, maybe was on the roof earlier, had the rifle ready. I don't, I don't, I know, like, Charlie Kirk had some security involved, but it definitely wasn't anything like special, whatever they call the president's people. I can't think right now. Not special forces, but Secret Service. Not to that level. So maybe the killer felt comfortable having the rifle there already, and that's how he was able to escape detection. Just had maybe a black hoodie on, black pants. Nobody's gonna really think too much of that these days. Who knows, but yeah, you definitely, maybe went back, or maybe was thinking they had been detected and kind of crept back and then ran back real quick so they can make the shot. Who knows? But yeah, it's I think we're pretty sure that was indeed the shooter, but you do have to say that's not confirmed. Hopefully, our FBI is competent enough to investigate this in the right way. It doesn't appear like they are, which is sad, the state of our FBI, if that's the case. But it definitely appears like Republicans are trying to make this a partisan issue, a political issue. They're trying to point the finger at Democrats when we don't. There's no reason to point the finger at Democrats. They're talking about arresting Democratic donors. I don't have Trump's speech from last night, but maybe I should find it before we end the stream today, because he said some crazy ass shit. And he's not the only one saying it. They've been saying it from the very fucking get. It's like they were waiting for this to happen, for something like this to happen. Not like Charlie Kirk, I'm sure, but for something to happen that they can use, because it seems like they had their rhetoric ready and waiting to go. And we're going to start getting into that.
Here's another rough view to the stage from the top of the Losi Center. So
again, like, my algorithm's kind of jacked. I had to get a lot of Young Turk stuff, Young Turks talking about it. I could have found, like, some far lefties, but a lot of people would just automatically dismiss that. I will say, like, if you haven't, like, I found Hassan, and I didn't watch all of it. Hassan was watching live when it happened. And Hassan was slated to debate Charlie Kirk later in the month at the end of this tour. And I found, I've heard, like, he goes Hassan later, and I didn't watch that part, but I found, like, his initial reaction to be very genuine, and very like kind of like my own, probably, because I was live when I found out for sure. Like, I had seen something, but I don't think I believed what my eyes had seen. And then somebody had mentioned it shortly after I started streaming yesterday. It's what a fucked up day it was. Like, I don't wish that on any of my worst enemies, on none of them. I don't use rhetoric like fascists to incite violence. I don't. That is not my intention. I am calling what I see. I think that we should be able to defeat whatever threat you want to call this politically. And again, there's no reason to think that we know anything about this shooter at this point, outside of they seem to be skilled at the craft of death.
You can see the kind of direct line of sight where that shooting would take place. You can see this photo right here of Charlie Kirk in front of all of these students right here. There was another video that emerged from inside another building that was near this area where Charlie Kirk was speaking. And it pans very quickly. So I'm just going to show the image first so you know what to look for. And it appears that the shooter was running off the roof after the shot was fired. You see that arrow right there with the shooter on top of the roof? Don't worry, I'm not going to show any videos of the actual shooting. It's horrific. It's graphic. I've watched them. I don't care to show them. It's not the right thing to do to show those videos. But
Will Kincaid is saying that there are reports that the shooter was a student in attendance, male, early 20s. You know, I really do hope that they found the person that actually did this, and we can get behind the motivations. Again, I don't think you should look at the motivations of any of these things, and I think I've been always consistent on that. The numbers are going to indicate, like, most of these things happen because of right-wing extremists. I don't think that means we need to go out and disarm right-wing extremists. I think we need to have, like, tighter gun laws, but that's, I think, a separate issue from this particular shooting. I don't think we should blame, we should know the trends, but we should be more focused on fixing the problem than pointing fingers, right? Like, you know, as a, what I would call like a utopianist on the gun issue, like, if I could get rid of every fucking gun in the world, I would. I would much rather be back to the barbaric days where you had to actually cut somebody fucking in half to kill them, because that was a lot harder, and I don't think people have that in them anymore, right? I think it would be a lot harder to kill people if we didn't have weapons that made it really easy to kill people. But I know that that's like some utopian thing, and especially here in America, that's never going to fucking happen. We're never going to disarm America. And I do think that despite my utopian ideals, there are fundamental problems with trying to say we need to take weapons away from one group and not the other, no matter what that group is. Unless that person gives you cause to take away their weapons. So if you have some legitimate threat, if you have some reason to think that this person is no longer mentally able to carry that weapon, then you take away that person's weapon. There is legitimacy to taking away the rights of gun ownership. I myself am a person that has had that right taken away. But I don't think we should be pointing at individual groups, right, left, male Republicans, white Republicans, outside of pointing out, like, these are, this is the trend. What can we do to either put a dampen or a reversal to this trend? And the trend is predominantly these acts are carried out by men, and on a majority level carried out by white men. We'll look at the numbers later, but you shouldn't be looking at them to give you fucking ammo to shoot at the group you disagree with. You should be looking at them to find solutions to a problem that affects every parent in America, but not just every parent in America, every human being that walks in public now. Every political commentator that's going to be brave enough to sit in front of a crowd, when will it stop? When will we at least try to do something? And the two things that we need to do is tighter gun control, not gun take away gun control. And I think the most vital thing is health coverage expansion. Make sure every American has health coverage, and make sure that health coverage covers mental conditions, mental treatments. That's going to take political action, not pointing the finger. And that's going to take both sides coming together to do something to maybe not, defeat the problem entirely, but just maybe stem some of these trends.
This provides an angle after the shooting. Let me play this for you. Let's play it. And here you see, this was at the TPUSA event at UVU. Right after the incident, you'll see a bunch of students kind of running away. So let me show you that. Let's play this clip. Now, a press conference was held, and the governor, Cox of Utah, was there. The law enforcement, the commissioner of Utah Public Safety was speaking. Bo Mason, a lot of other top people were speaking, and they kind of seemed to be taken aback by Kash Patel talking about having the person of interest, because you don't do that in an investigation like this. You don't say you have the person when you don't have the person. And that could often lead to the person getting away by doing this shoddy law enforcement work. Here, a reporter says, the FBI director says, suspect in custody. What can you tell us? And you'll see Governor Cox kind of uncomfortable to answer. This was before we knew that suspect was not the right guy. Again, the second time they got it wrong today alone. Here, play this clip.
The FBI director is posting that a suspect is in custody. I would just like clarification. Do you or do you not have a suspected shooter in custody?
We have a person of interest in custody that is being interviewed right now.
That is not George Zinn.
That is not George Zinn. Okay. That is correct.
Now, this is Police Commissioner Mason. Here, he said that there was the first person that they had in custody was released after we identified that he was not the accurate person. So what he's referring to here is not the person, not the second person in custody, that first person whose face I redacted, the one who's involved in a lot of Utah politics. So this screw up happened twice. Here, play this clip.
Shortly after the shooting, we did have a suspect in custody, George Zinn. But he was released from custody after we identified that he did not match the shooting suspect and was not an accurate person of interest. However, he has been booked into the county jail by Utah Valley University Police Department for obstruction of justice.
Then the police was asked if a weapon was recovered. Here, play this clip.
Was the gun recovered?
I'm sorry, say.
Was the weapon recovered?
At this point, I can't disclose that.
And here is what Commissioner of Utah Department of Public Safety, Bo Mason, has to say here about the information they may have on the suspect. Let's play it.
The only information we have on the suspect, the possible shooter, is taken from closed circuit TV here on campus. We do have that. We're analyzing it, but it is security camera footage, so you can kind of guess what the quality of that is. But we do know dressed in all dark clothing. But we don't have a much better description other than that.
Now, folks, without knowing who did this, what the motives were, without getting more detail at all, you have Donald Trump and MAGA really politicizing this and turning it into some very hateful rhetoric. Donald Trump gave a speech from the Oval Office and immediately blamed leftists. And he said the left are a bunch of terrorists, and he's inciting his base right here, in my opinion, to commit violence against Democrats. He also references the assassination attempt on him in Butler, where we know that individual was a Republican and a Trump supporter. And the same thing, they flooded the zone with all of this information. Oh, it must be a liberal. It must be a leftist. It must be liberal. It was a very, very lifelong Republican. That's who it was, who was in a big Trump house. But this is the dangerous rhetoric he's saying. Let's play.
All right, so here's where we're pretty much getting to the point of the stream today. And that's been Republican response, and I'm seeing it from like a wide level. I mean, just C.J. Cox lost his goddamn mind on Facebook yesterday, saying the lefties, liberals need to be destroyed. I saw like somebody in my family immediately posted this long ass thing about how Democrats were trying to politicize this, as she went on to have this like long ass fucking novel about politicizing this and making Charlie Kirk some kind of martyr, and a war's been fucking started. I mean, it was fucking insane. Fucking insane. You know, and I have to say, like, as a person that like has advocated for this very issue, for gun violence in America, to do something about gun violence in America, to see like the people that have always told me, you know, that I was stupid for not thinking that, you know, the Constitution says what the Constitution says, and the Constitution does not say that you have an individual right to a gun. It just fucking doesn't. It says a militia has a right to a gun. To now be like, it started with the Minnesota shooting like last week. A lot of those same people that tell me that shit my whole life are saying we need to take guns away from trans people all over their Facebook pages. And now they're saying like war with Democrats. I can only imply like when any Republican says that, what they're saying is, all right, they've started war with us by killing one of ours, so now we need to go kill them. That's the only thing you can infer from that language. We don't know who the shooter was to begin with, but even if the shooter is some kind of left-wing fucking extremist, there's no cause for that. You'd be up in arms if every time there was a school shooting by a Republican, if we were calling for like the death of all Republicans. You wouldn't stand for that. Rightfully so. It's fucking insane. The shit that people are saying. I mean, it started before I went to bed last night, but I went to bed pretty early. I was fucking tired. Probably fell out about 7. And it seemed to just get fucking crazier since. And I think that they're about to start talking about it. I got some other, you know, Young Turks people talking about it. There was a fight on the floor of Congress. You know, what are you saying when you mean we've started a war with you? Is this justification to start going around killing liberals and leftists and anybody that disagrees with you, that doesn't think Donald Trump should be an emperor? Like, I don't understand what you think you're saying. Like, if it's not that.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it.
So right there, like, he's putting it on Democrats, and he's saying that we're going to come after you, and we're going to come after the people that fund you. I've heard people calling George Soros out by name, but they're talking about the people that fund their political allies. They're going to use this as cause to put all those people in prison. And yet the right wing of the world says I'm crazy to decry fascism. And they'll say like me decrying fascism is somehow inciting violence. It's not. I'm not inciting violence for anybody. I'm saying like we should not accept this. And his base should be the first ones telling him, no, dude, that's not okay. But they're not. They're saying, stop. No, no, you say stop, and we'll stop. We're not inciting violence. We're saying this can't be. This can't be. But you're letting it be. Imagine if Obama, after Sandy Hook, tried to put that on Republicans and Republican donors. There would have been just the suggestion of it, there would have been blood in the streets. The suggestion of it. Let's chill the fuck out and get the facts. And let's not jump to some grand conclusion. I've literally seen people say, like, we need intervention. Meaning, we need Donald Trump to be dictator now. No, the fuck we don't. And where was this outrage as a person that has fought for this for decades? Maybe if we'd have done something 20 years ago, this doesn't happen yesterday. As somebody that has fought that fight drunkenly on this channel many times, it's insulting. Because you are the very people that have said no. Time and time and time again. No, 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 no to everything.
As well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others. Radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives.
And that dangerous rhetoric.
All right, let's just go to some of the facts of the matter. Mass shooting fact sheet. And this isn't necessarily a mass shooting, right? A lot of the same qualities of a mass shooting, but this is a political assassination in a public area. But just the facts on mass shootings in America. Last update is September 8th, 2025. This is the Rockefeller Institute of Government. Most likely, like, it gives this site will give you like when it's most likely to occur, which is usually between probably 6:30 and 4 p.m. in the afternoon. You know, what kind of guns are consistently used. Seems like, I think the last time I checked these numbers, shotguns were above rifles, but it seems like rifles have jumped up. I wonder, it does seem like a lot of rifles have been used this year as opposed to other years. I'm not sure on those facts. I haven't looked into them, but just from like my memory from shootings this year, it seems like a lot of assault rifles used this year. Perpetrators tend to be white, 54.4%. Perpetrators are overwhelmingly male at 95.3% of these incidents. So white men are the majority of people doing it, and men are the vast majority of people doing it. So, and there's this really interesting, I think it's right here. It's this really interesting argument that was in Politico. I think 4/23/2023 is when it was uploaded. And this is about like geographical location. We might get into that a little bit. But generally where most gun violence happens in America, and this is, I think this is still public mass shootings. This graph here, but this is generally the graph that you'll see when it comes to gun violence in general. Most gun violence overall, not sure if this, I think that this still holds when it comes to mass shootings, but most gun violence is going to happen in your southern Bible Belt states. So this kind of Republican ruby red stronghold down here, because they have the least and the most lax gun laws in the nation. This is just fact. The lacquer your gun laws are, the more gun violence you will have. That's just a fact. They've been steadily increasing in frequency since 1966. I do believe 1966 was the Texas school tower shooting, which was like, I do believe like the first major school shooting we ever had in the country. And you can see those trends. Some years are down, some years are up. But here, most recently, like everything's just pretty much fucking up across the board, and that you'll notice it starts to like really trend. When was the Brady Law taken came out? So like, because the Brady Law was about what Reagan's assassination, I believe. I can't remember. I think it was about Reagan's assassination attempt. But then I think Clinton had an assault weapons ban, and then that came off. And somewhere in the late 90s, you really start to see that gun violence trend upwards, even though violent crime has trended downwards. Most public shootings, mass public shootings occur workplaces, schools. More likely to occur on weekdays. All of this, it's like you can get all of this information, and it seems like here lately Republicans are trying to imply like Democrats do, left-leaning people do most of like, the gun violence in America, and that's just not true. This is the ADF, American Defamation League, and this is like a direct tie of extremism in America to gun violence. Every year, people with ties to a variety of extreme movements and causes kill people in the United States. The ADL Center of Extremism tracks these murders. In 2021, domestic extremists killed at least 29 people in the United States in 19 separate incidents. This represents a modest increase from the 23 related murders documented in 2020, but is far lower than the number of murders committed in any of the 5 years prior. And most of these extreme murders are these extremist murders are coming from right-wing extremists as opposed to left-wing extremists. All of the numbers indicate that. Right-wing extremists and black nationalists, most of the murders, 26 of 29, were committed by right-wing extremists, which is usually the case. However, 2 killings were committed by black nationalists and 1 by an Islamic extremist, the latter being the first such killing since 2018. So, I mean, it's just like all the numbers are there to indicate, like, your problem isn't Democrats in America. Your problem isn't liberals in America. This was, like I said, a fascinating article about gun violence geographically. This is a really good article. You can Google it. You can find it. Political article. Colin Woodward uploaded April 23rd, 2023. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but we can go through some of the charts and stuff. Gun deaths are far less common in New York City area, because this is like, the common Republican theme, like New York, California, are like the mass murder capitals of the world. No, actually, the mass murder capitals of America are like red states. Like that. It's without a fucking doubt. So gun deaths are far less common in New York City than U.S. overall. It's just a myth that like New York City is the murder capital of the world. It used to be, I think, back in the 90s, but it I think it was like actually like Giuliani that really fucking cracked down on that shit, brought some right-wing fascism to New York and really brought the crime rate down. And then you've had, a slew of Democratic and a wide range of politicians since. And it seems like crime has, stayed pretty good in New York. At least compared to the national levels. But this is a fascinating article because it really looks at breaks down geographical locations. Let me get down to it. So breaking down the identities of the quote unquote American nations. Yankeedom population 55.8 million at the time that this book American Nations came out. founded by Puritans who sought to perfect earthly society through social engineering, blah, 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 blah. This is mainly like, I think your North New Englander states. Not sure, New Netherland, Dutch founded, retains characters, 17th century Amsterdam. I think that that's also part of like that area, 18.8 million. You got the Tidewater, founded by lesser sons of legend, landed gentry seeking to recreate the semi-feudal manorial. Like, you have all these segments of America, right? Like the greater Appalachia, the Midlands, the Deep South, the El Norte, the left coast, the far west, and this article will go through the data and really break it down by like region. Like, again, right here, like all the data is showing like the Deep South is like by far leads the nation in gun violence because they have the laxest gun laws in the country. Greater Appalachia has the highest rate of gun suicides among major regions. Like, it really breaks it down on a detailed level. And like, all of this information is available at the stroke of your fingers. You've got to look at it, and then you've got to like understand statistics. And this isn't painting a perfect picture. This is just giving you the variables that so you can understand how to try to address the problem, right? It's not like I'm trying to sit here and say like, fuck it, every single mass shooting in America is right-wing extremism and we need to wage war on right-wing extremists. I'm not saying that at all, but that's what they're saying, despite what all of the fucking numbers tell you. Why? I can understand an emotional reaction. I can understand, like, a lot of these people knew Charlie Kirk and they're having an emotional reaction, and we can hope that it's only that, right? All right, so we'll get back. We might come back to some numbers and stuff. I definitely have some more things, especially once we start talking about, like, political rhetoric leading to, like, political violence. But we'll continue with this one.
Is permeating all over right-wing social media now. You have Laura Loomer, a right-wing extremist, saying they sent a trained sniper to assassinate Charlie Kirk while he was sitting next to a table of hats that said 47. You could be next. I hate to say.
Damn, I just did all of that and I didn't do that. Did I? Right? Did I do that? I thought I was doing that. Let's go back in the stream. Let's make sure I didn't fuck up all of that. Oh, no, it looks like maybe. Let's see. Yeah, no, I was showing it to you guys. All right, good. I'm like, did I fuck that up? I'm like, I didn't fuck that up, did I? God damn it. All right, I didn't fuck that up. Cool. I don't put it past me to fuck that up like that. And that would have been a damn shame.
But I have a sick feeling we will be seeing more targeted assassination. The left are terrorists. This guy Harrison Smith, right-wing media influencer, says, round them the F up. This other popular X account, which used to be Twitter, says, there's no going back after this. There's no more words to be said. The only way this ends is complete annihilation of the Democrat Party. Matt Forney says, Charlie Kirk being assassinated is the American Reichstag fire. It is time for a complete crackdown on the left. Every Democratic politician must be arrested and the party banned under RICO. Every libtard commentator must be shut down. Stochastic terrorism.
Like, literally causing for the disbanding of your political opposition. Because, and let's say it's a left-wing activist, because one dude or one organization commits an act of terrorism, you're going to shut down your political opposition? How is that not fascism? How is that not fascism? Like, I don't understand what the fuck these people think they're saying, or why they think it's okay to say it. It's not. We don't say this shit.
They caused this. And then more comments like this. They've declared war. I want to see the Air Force sent to democratic cities. You get the point. I mean, one horrible thing. This is war. One horrible.
I mean, what do you mean? Like, this is war? What do you mean? Who's calling for violence? Who's inciting violence? Who in the Democratic Party has been inciting political assassinations? Nobody. Again, let's look at it. A simple Google search, right? Simple Google search. My search, Trump talking about and threatening liberals and the left, right? AI overview. As of September 2025, Donald Trump's rhetoric regarding liberals and the left has included blaming them for violence, labeling them as the enemy within, and calling for legal action or military force against political opponents. His comments build on similar themes he has used since his 2016 campaign and have led to alarm from cities who warn against his authoritarian style language and actions. Recent remarks since the 2024 election, blaming liberals for political violence. This is addressing the Charlie Kirk situation. Last night, President Trump blamed the radical left for contributing to political violence. He described liberal criticism of conservatives as directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today. So by that logic, Donald Trump was directly responsible for the terrorism that we saw in Minnesota with the assassination of the politician in Minnesota and the harming of the other one. The assassination of the politician and their spouse, as far as if I'm remembering that correctly. Right? So Donald Trump's responsible for that. Republicans are responsible for that. Charlie Kirk was responsible for that with his gun control rhetoric. You know, it was Charlie Kirk who said people need to be sacrificed so we can have a Second Amendment. Charlie Kirk was upholding Trump and his decisive talk for the last 10 years, 12 years, however long it's been. 2016, 9 years, 10 years. Targeting political opponents through retribution. News outlets report that in the early months of his second term, Trump has used the resources of the federal government to target more than 100 perceived enemies, including former Representative Liz Cheney, Dr. Anthony Fauci, New York Attorney General Letitia James. This follows his earlier promises of retribution, where he vowed to avenge those he believed had been wronged, those that had wronged him. I'm assuming AI means to say. Labeling them radical left lunatics. In the final moments of the 2024 presidential campaign, Trump repeatedly referred to political opponents as those who might protest the election as radical left lunatics and the enemy from within. He suggested that the National Guard and military should be used against them if they cause chaos. Like, who's inciting political violence? Show me any politician saying any of those things. They want to say because we call balls and strikes, right? We call fascism, that's inciting political violence. If that's true, then every single time they have called Joe Biden or any Democrat a socialist or a communist, then they're inciting political violence. And they have done that for decades. Decades. And I think it should get into that. I think I have something on that anyway. Let's see. Maybe. No, maybe not. Maybe I deleted it. I had something on just like Republicans calling Democrats socialists and communists. I must have deleted it. Yeah, I'm not seeing it anymore. We're still on this one. I still want to look at this. I think we can probably get rid of some of these. But like just all information, easily accessible, and there's a plethora of it. Go find your own. You know, but understand. You know, statistics aren't perfect representations, but they're there to point out the anomalies, to point out the variations, to point out like what you can possibly look at to try to fix a problem. Oh, here we go. Yeah, let's not delete that. So I thought I had something. Why Donald Trump says his enemies are communist. Great, again, political, and now I know they'll scream fake news, but Austin Surratt is the William Nelson Cromwell Professor of Jurisprudence and Political Science at Amherst College. And it's pretty much common known that he calls everybody under the sun communists that disagree with him, right? Like, But this is going to go through some of the examples. Trump continued his red baiting being, it's a classic American tactic from the McCarthy days. Paint your political enemies as communists, the hated, the enemy, the other. A classic political tactic of the fascist, of the authoritarian, of the dictator. Continued his red baiting through his term in the White House. In September 29, he used an address in the United Nations General Assembly to expand on his anti-communist crusade. Socialism and communism, Trump said, are not about justice. They are not about equality. They are not about lifting up the poor. They are certainly not about the good of the country. Socialism and communism are about only one thing, power for the ruling class. America, Trump promised, will never be a socialist country. At a September 2020 White House event honoring Cuban-American veterans of the ill-fated 1961 Bay of Pig invasions of Cuba, Trump repeated the promise and branded his political opponents radical Marxists. When you look at the kind of ideology we are also facing, Trump told the appreciative audience, we did not fight tyranny abroad only to let Marxists destroy our beloved country. He's inciting political violence there, right? He's directly responsible for any political assassination of any left-leaning member of Congress, right? So all of these people out there right now saying that this is war and actually inciting violence, they're not inciting violence. Trump wasn't inciting violence. These fucking made-up Democrats were inciting violence. And of course, the people that funded the Democratic Party. What the fuck is going on in this country? Seriously.
Terrible thing after the other. Look, the first thing that we said here on the Midas Touch Network, not knowing the facts about what took place, is that in the strongest possible terms, we condemn political violence. When the assassination attempt happened on Donald Trump, same thing. In the strongest possible terms, we always call out and reject political violence. We can strongly disagree with people, but political violence is never the way, ever, and we don't condone that ever.
Turn my
at the Midas Touch Network. I want to.
All right, let's get back out of there. We don't need that one anymore. We can delete that. All right, political leaders. This is from TYT. Again, my algorithm's jacked. I don't watch TYT anymore, but I still get them. They come straight through the algorithm. I've watched them since I've had this profile, but I've watched TYT since I've watched YouTube, but I don't tend to anymore because of their right-wing turn. But they still escape, and they're the only people outside of the Midas Touch Network that I can find talking about this. So this is political leaders react to Charlie Kirk's assassination. I think you're going to see a difference between the left and the right in their reaction here.
When news broke of the shooting, before it was confirmed that Charlie Kirk had been killed in this, figures on both the left and the right came out to offer support for Kirk, condemn the shooting. Vice President J.D. Vance wrote this, say a prayer for Charlie Kirk, a genuinely good guy and a young father. Charlie Kirk has a young son, daughter, 3 and 1, I believe. Conservative commentator Glenn Beck stated his daughter was at the event just 10 feet away from Kirk when the shooting happened. David Hogg, survivor of the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting, wrote this. Horrifying news that Charlie Kirk has been shot, gun violence, political violence, have to effing stop. Charlie, his family, and all the students who had to witness the shooting are in my thoughts. We have disagreements, but we all agree something has to change. Representative Ro Khanna put up this. The shooting of Charlie Kirk at a university is chilling and horrific. Political violence has no place in America. We all must reflect on how we can tone down the anger and hate that has poisoned our politics and be better citizens in a divided and aching nation. Zohran Mamdani, Democratic nominee for the mayor of New York. I'm horrified by the shooting of Charlie Kirk at a college event in Utah. Political violence has no place in our country. In the immediate aftermath of the shooting, others wrote, Democrats are to blame. Again, these reactions posted before Kirk's death was even confirmed. Elon Musk.
So, like, you know, excuse me. Shit can be harsh on you, on an old man's lungs. So, like Charlie Kirk isn't even fucking dead yet. So, reporting is like Charlie Kirk held on for a long time, and again, you got to give Charlie Perps props for that. Like, I think a lot of people probably would have let go, but he had 2 young children. Kind of like a poster board family, like a postcard family, like a family meant to be on a postcard of America, right? That Make America Great America, you know, that kind of postcard. But still, like, you know, a beautiful young family held on, and he's still holding on. And people are already calling for war on the Democratic Party. Like, what the fuck country do we live in? It wasn't that long ago. I don't have my camera on the other screen, or I'd go up there so you can kind of like get a better look at my face here. It wasn't over here. It wasn't that long ago that I could sit in a bar, and it was the beginning period of the really, really divisiveness. Because America's always been divisive, always, and the Civil War wasn't a solution. It was a Band-Aid. And it's been a Band-Aid that has been soaked through with blood for a very, very, very long time. But just like 6 or 7 years ago, at the very start, or a little longer than that, probably at the beginning of Trump, right at the very beginning of like the extreme divisiveness we've been living in. So I was still a bartender. I was a bartender at a restaurant in Grand Rapids that Will Kincaid and Smokey St. called live on their stream one time. Right, bartender and a server. But I could sit there at that bar, either if I was working or if I wasn't, and talk to the Trumpers and have a debate. Right, I could have a debate with them. I could have a conversation with them. And that was, 9 or 10 years ago at this point. And in that short of a time, we have come to a place where that no longer can happen. In that short of a time, we have come to a place where that can no longer happen. And the extreme example of that is what happened yesterday to Charlie Kirk. But there are lesser examples of that. I cannot sit at a bar and have that conversation with people anymore. And every time it kind of leaks out of me in public, I worry. And honestly, like you can just have like some kind of altercation with somebody at work, and then you kind of have to worry, like, is this a person that's going to come in tomorrow? Like I had an altercation yesterday with a forklift driver at work. I'm on the ground, he's on his forklift. I'm communicating to him that he can go, and he is not responding. I communicate again. He pulls out his fucking phone. Shit pissed me off. Like, that's not safe, right? 1. 2, you don't have to be a dick, right? Maybe he's heard me talk about Trump, because I do talk about Trump sometimes. It leaks out of me, and I worry that people are going to take that the wrong way. Maybe report me. Maybe try to get me fired. Maybe, in the extreme example, come in and try to fucking kill me with their gun. Right? Because you have to worry about those things in America now. And like I've literally since this Charlie Kirk shooting it really slaps you in the face when it's something like this, because now it's like, yeah, man, me and like I was over there, it's like, man, you don't have to be like loud enough for him to hear me. You don't have to be a dick. You can be a good human being. And then like I was so upset about it, I did something that I very rarely ever fucking do. If ever. I can't really remember like getting to a point where I want to put a formal complaint on a coworker. I've never done it, and I didn't do it yesterday, but I almost did. And he knows I almost did, because he works in the section right next to us, and he probably heard every fucking word that I said. So now I have to worry. because he is some like weird like there's like red flag dude here doesn't fucking speak to you, right? And I'm not the only one. Like, he's a known fucking problem. So now I have to worry. Like, is he a motherfucker that's gonna come in tomorrow at 9 o'clock tomorrow? You know, and have a fucking handgun in his lunchbox? And I'm sitting there doing my thing, back turned, and my life is over before I even know it. How? And then I have to think, you know, my kid, she's gonna be at school, and she's gonna get out of school, and she's gonna come, and I ain't gonna be there to pick her up. And then she's going to be like, all right, maybe Dad's still at work. I'm just going to walk to his work. And she's going to get there, and she's going to see fucking police tape. Depending on what time of day I'm shot, maybe she's seeing me wheeled out dead. You know, you have to think about all this shit in America now. You have to. You have to consider that, which is fucked up.
The left is the party of murder. Elon Musk. An excerpt from...
As far as I know, they still haven't caught the guy. Will Kincaid was saying something about someone, but I'm not sure if he was talking about...
Democrats cannot keep getting away
a person
with
that's been let go.
Several
people have been let go.
Conservatives. Commentator Nick Sorter wrote this. Breaking. The man who shot Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University is reportedly in custody. The left has declared literal war on us. Democrats and their violent rhetoric own this. Representative Anna Paulina Luna wrote this. I'm done with the rhetoric this rotten house and corrupt media has caused. Every damn one of you who called us fascists did this.
Again, so I guess every one of you that called us communists did this. You know, like, the logic makes no sense. And again, the statistics do not back up that claim at all. Reality does not back up that claim at all. We are not the ones inciting violence here. We're calling balls and strikes. Looking for the curveballs, because there's a lot of them coming out of this Trump administration. This Trump admin has been fucking wild. Like, oh, fuck. It's been a wild one, and we're barely in. Trying to take over American cities. Trying to gerrymander their way to political supremacy, now talking about defunding and arresting their political opponents. And we don't even know who fucking did this yet. We don't know the motivation yet. It could be a number of possibilities. It could be literally anybody at this point. They've literally let so many people go at this point. Like, what the fuck is going on in this country? We can find Saddam Hussein in a fucking hole in the middle of a fucking desert, but we can't find a dude who commits a political assassination in broad daylight with hundreds of people around. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
You were too busy doping up kids, cutting off their genitals, inciting racial violence by supporting organizations that exploit minorities, protecting criminals, and stirring hate. You are the hate you claim to fight. Your words caused this. Your hate caused this. Charlie, his family, those kids. No one deserved this. Enough is enough. Illinois.
That's like a government official saying this shit. Government officials trying to point a finger at their political opponents when they have been the ones, their party, and some of them themselves, that have said no time and time again when we have tried to do something about this fucking issue in America. No is not yes. No does not help. No could not prevent this. Maybe nothing could have. But we've done nothing except continue to allow people to fucking die. That's the only thing we've done. Continue to allow people to die.
Governor J.B. Pritzker, on the other hand, said Trump was to blame. Political violence, unfortunately, has ramped up in this country. I think there are people who are fomenting it in this country. I think the president's rhetoric often foments it. J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois. And so the finger pointing continues again.
Yeah. Again, and not the right time for that. Not the right time for that. Say that in response to somebody pointing the finger, but like in the wake of a political assassination of the other side, when your city, and I understand your city's about to be overrun if it hasn't already. I'm pretty sure ICE operations are underway at this point, but I could be wrong. Yeah, a lot of distractions from Epstein and the Chicago invasion right now. Not saying those distractions are intentional by any means. Just a lot of distraction right now. Something a lot more serious to look at, and deservedly so. And not the time, not the fucking time. I have a friend. Like I've known this person since I was 4 years old. He's on our political side. He's probably not as far left as me, but he's probably pretty close. He doesn't come out. He's usually not vocal about it. Although his Facebook has always been a place to where he has not held back. And he didn't yesterday. And I don't agree with any of the things that he said. And I took a lot of shit when I said the same thing about Rush Limbaugh. It's just not the time. We can reflect on the legacy of Rush Limbaugh. Let the man, let his body cool. I think I have been consistent on this issue. Like Charlie Kirk's legacy has been written, except for outside of his martyrdom. If they're gonna make a martyr out of him, then that's the last chapter written. And I'm not even saying that you shouldn't. Oh, really loud microphone. I'm not even saying that you shouldn't make a martyr out of him, but make a martyr out of him for the right reasons, if you must, as opposed to like reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with this shooting. He stood for his principle, and he died for his principle. That is a legacy to be remembered. Will you now be consistent? Because you seem to be open to taking guns away from some people now. And I don't think that that's going to be consistent with Charlie Kirk's memory or what the things that he stood for at all. Now, would Charlie Kirk have been consistent if he was still around and the opportunity came to disarm the left? I would hope so. Can't know that now, right? So I think it would be a damn shame on his legacy to try to up him to martyr status to impose the taking away of the Second Amendment right that he so loved. I think that would be a damn shame for Republicans to do something like that. A disgusting smear on his legacy.
A good number of those written, posted before it was confirmed that Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. He'd been shot, but there was no word on whether he survived this. I guess, Cenk, what do you make of, we always say this when there's these tragedies, is something going to be the one thing that changes this and brings us all together? Because again, all I could think about was his.
All right, I think that's what I was interested in seeing, was just like the reaction. That's what I needed, was the reaction. Now, John Adarala always gives pretty good commentary, and I want to give him his props. But like I don't know. It might be time to cut ties, dog. All right, one more TYT, I think, and I did kind of go through that a little bit. That's a really great article. So is the one on the geography. We might go into that some more, so we'll leave that there. Let's get rid of that. All right, last one. So this is about kind of like actually I don't even think I want to show this one. Let's listen to the fight in Congress. So, do I have it? No. Yeah, you can see what I've been looking up today, right? I don't know. Disney Plus is just like always there. I don't know why. I don't even really watch. Like I have Disney Plus, but I don't watch it very often. We did watch the Thunderbolts recently. Maybe that's why. But I don't know. I've had a lot of Google searches since I watched the Thunderbolts. So let's look up fight in Congress. Let me. I got to see my keyboard to be able to type. Still couldn't get my no. And I was on the wrong page, but let's see if we can find something. Still couldn't get my fingers quite on the home page, or on the home keys. Let's see. I think,
Matt, the House Oversight Committee debated 14 different bills to address D.C. crime. Where do things stand at this hour?
Was that it? No.
Well, I mean, at this hour, Andy, they're about halfway through. I would say.
Oh, was it? No. Congress. Fight in Congress, Charlie Kirk. A little better that time. Fighting Congress. No, I want a video. Videos, damn it, videos. Yeah, right here we go.
Please rise for a moment of prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family.
I mean, I don't even think they have to frame it as disarming. But if you're locking up all of your political opponents, then you're disarming them. So it's right after the moment of silence that the first thing is shouted. Now, I don't know. I can't make out, and I haven't been able to make out, and haven't really seen any reporting. Well, I've seen a lot of reporting on who made that first shout, and it's like different on both sides of the aisle. The right wing said that the Democrats are scum and disrespectful scum, and they started shouting right after the moment of silence. And the Democrats are saying, no, it was the Republicans. They started shouting that it's our fault. So, I mean, who knows what's accurate? Maybe we'll get some better audio. I haven't heard any. Maybe there's some out there that can, like, determine that. As far as I know, that's it. But it was, like, right after the moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. Shouting begins, and it goes on for quite a while.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from Colorado rise? Shh.
People are looking back. Fuck. I did it again! Sorry. Take finger away from button. Alright, I can't show it in the little camera view, but take finger away from button. Alright, so from what I heard there, I believe that was Lauren Boebert, and she was commenting. I couldn't make out the comments, but from what's been reported, that to paraphrase a Nakasuchian, pretty much Lauren Boebert was saying, fuck Democratic thoughts and prayers. Something to those effects, not in those words, right? and the fight ensues. So you're saying they found the rifle?
Let's
I'll have to look for that.
Wait a minute. The House will be in order. The House will be in order. Shh. The House will be in order. Shh.
So now what are they saying? So let's go back. So some Democrats protested her comments. So like Lauren Boebert said something.
Order. Shh. The House will be in order.
All right, so I believe it was Boebert that said something like, again, in Nakasuchian, fuck you, Democrats. We don't give a fuck about your thoughts and prayers. You're the cause of this. Something along those lines. I am complete Nakasuchian. My words, not hers, but something along those lines. And Democrats protested like, what the fuck, yo? And then this Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who was a close friend of Kirk, yelled back at Democrats, and that's what we're listening to now. And I guess she yelled back, she very vicious. But again, I don't know what she said.
The House will be in order. We will join prayer right after this, okay? The chair lays before the House a communication. The House will be in order.
So like last night as I was asleep in my bed, you know, like just nonsense spewing on the floors of Congress. And no, like Democrats are not starting a war with you. For one, I don't think we know who killed us. I'm seeing that we found the rifle maybe. So let's see if I can find anything on that. Let's go down here. The only real like news source I have available to me at the moment, outside of like football news sources, is CNN or the Young Turks. Unfortunately, I don't think actually not the Young Turks because I unsubscribed from them quite a long time ago. They just make it through my algorithm still. All right, so I do have like. You know, I have my lefty shits, but I do have like a wide range. But like the only like real legit news source I have right at the moment is here. Let's see. Like most recent shit. Weapon believed to have been used in Charlie Kirk shooting has been found. So let's take a look at that.
Yesterday's events. At around 12:20 p.m., political influencer Charlie Kirk was at Utah Valley University participating in a student-sponsored event with Turning Point USA. Charlie was shot at that event. He was transported to a local hospital where he later passed. Last night, his body was moved to the state office of the medical examiner. We will continue to facilitate movements to get him home today and with his family. Yesterday, during the investigative process, we located a couple of persons of interest. We interviewed those individuals, and after releasing them and after clearing them of being suspects, they face scrutiny. They face threats. We asked the public to be patient with the investigative process. These individuals were not suspects. They were people of interest. We ask that you do not impose into those people and that investigative process. They don't deserve that harassment for being subject to that.
I mean, I'll tell you this. Let's go up here for a minute. See if it's still there. Because I haven't read his comment because I went to bed. I know one of his right-wing friends had started yapping at me. See, he might have taken it down. I'm not seeing what I want to see right now. Oh, let's see if this is it. right, so in this post that I'm looking at last night, CJ Cox posts a rest in peace Charlie Kirk picture, 1993 to 2025. It says he had typed, try to convince a leftist that they are wrong and they kill you. They, period, kill, period, you, period. They must be destroyed. Right? Somebody responds, I have to be destroyed. I respond, bro, didn't hear this shit when it was Democratic politicians being assassinated. What in the actual fuck has happened to you? I said, this post is disgusting, but most are that come from CJ these days, and I used to think he was one of the few rational ones. He responds to me with a bunch of dates of supposed leftists. I'll have to go through that to see how valid. I'll have to go through each one to see if each one is right or just some like right-wing propaganda that he's posting. But like several dates of supposed lefties that have committed, I don't know, violent gun crime. I bet I could probably compose a similar list. But if you really want to like find and flag mass shooters, right, it would be a post like this that would flag you to somebody that might become a mass shooter. When you are saying they must be destroyed, you can only mean one thing. And he had a lot of posts last night. I'm not going to read them all, but like that's just some of the delusion I saw. I saw a lot of the delusion worse than that coming from my own family members on Facebook last night. I had to turn Facebook off. I'm going to have to turn it off right now because, it'll just drive me fucking insane. It'll drive me insane to see the stupid, retarded bullshit that's being said on Facebook right now by people that should fucking know better. They should fucking know better. And it's insulting to a person like me that has actually fought for this fucking issue. I fought for people, for victims like Charlie Kirk. Even though we are completely on different sides of the political spectrum, I have fought for people, for victims like him, and now he himself becomes one of the people I fight for. Needless death to needless gun violence. Now, again, I will stipulate, I do believe these are very special circumstances. If this is a political assassination by somebody that's, has done a lot of planning and training for this moment, then that's a scenario that I don't think any kind of gun regulation nor like healthcare expansion is going to be able to solve, right? So, I try to be fair when I'm talking about these things, and I've always tried to be fair. I do have my political biases, my personal biases, right? Just like everybody, but I try to be fair. I always have. Even when I was fucking drunk, I was trying to be as fair as my drunk ass would allow. I always try to be fair to the other side. We have to be fair to the other side. We have to solve issues, not create more issues. That should be the focus here.
I'd like to thank all the investigators that are involved in this. They have worked around the clock, all day yesterday, through the night last night. Investigators from the State Bureau of Investigations, from county, from city agencies, the university, our federal partners with the FBI, the ATF, and many others. Those are just a few of the people that we have involved in this. I'd like to thank all of them for their strong work. Through all that work last night, we were able to make a few breakthroughs. We were able to track the movements of the shooter.
Most times.
Starting at 11:52 a.m., the subject arrived on campus, shortly away from campus. We had tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location. After the shooting, we were able to track his movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled off of the campus and into a neighborhood. Our investigators have worked through those neighborhoods, contacting anybody they can with doorbell cameras, witnesses, and have thoroughly worked through those communities, trying to identify any leads. We do have good video footage of this individual. We are not going to release that at this time.
That's good to know.
Through some technologies and some ways to identify.
So according to this was, excuse me, about an hour ago. Pepsi, drinking Pepsi now. We're away from the coffee with Knock, and we're drinking cherry Pepsi with Knock now. So about an hour ago, by this reporting, they still haven't captured the dude, but they do have a good video image of the person. Now, hopefully, science fiction isn't true yet, and we don't have like some kind of fucking crazy ass face deception bullshit going on. Hopefully, they have a legitimate, facial recognition. And hopefully we can find this person, or at least find out who he is. What is the motivation here? And then we can actually have a legitimate conversation about it, right?
Identify this individual. If we are unsuccessful, we will reach out to you as the media, and we will push that publicly to help us identify them. But we are confident in our abilities right now, and we would like to move forward in a manner that keeps everyone safe.
Yeah, we did, Robin, I would highly suggest going to the beginning of the stream. The first thing I watched today was this analysis. I'll see if I can find it real quick, and because I don't have the link in the description. I should, because it turned out to be a better. I do have to warn anybody that would watch it. You will see the shooting from several different angles. But I'll just go into my history. Should be quite up close, I would think. No, it'd be past that. Yeah, right there. All right, so in fact, I'm going to subscribe and find out what he's about. I have no idea what his politics are. He is he says and appears to be very knowledgeable, ex-Marine, sniper, and he does a deep in-depth of this. And I kind of go through most of this video and his analysis of this shooting. And I suggest everybody, and I'll put this. I'll try to remember, because last time I said I'd do it and I forgot to do it, and I need to go back and do that one. But I'll try to remember to put his link in the description after the stream, because this was an excellent analysis of the shooting, and by a person that seems very, very knowledgeable of these things. And his analysis was basically like, this guy was very good. There's things that look very professional, and then there are things that look very unprofessional about it. And he pointed a couple of those things out, like being so exposed on the open roof. As a professional, he would have tried to get inside the building and shoot from the window, minimize exposure. But again, somebody, and this Omar person doesn't appear to be the person, right? From the reporting that I've gotten so far. But he has a very excellent analysis, and that was the first thing that I kind of covered, although I didn't show it on my stream, because it does show the shooting from several angles. And it does, in fact, show what I call the bloodshot, although it does blur the image. It does, so it can be disturbing, so fair warning. But Marcus J. Allen, ex-sniper, breaking down Charlie Kirk's assassination, excellent analysis, and I'll try to remember to get that link in the description. In fact, I'll keep it there, because I think that people should watch that. Like, this guy, like, I think his analysis is spot on. And I said I made my assumptions from that. Like, this could very well be because I've heard people that are like, left-wing commentators that know Charlie on a personal level, have debated him, whatever, know him in that kind of hemisphere, and even some like right-wing folks said that he was having a lot of beefs with neo-Nazi groups in the last few months. I'm not sure the extent of that, how true of that is. Nobody's talking about that I can see right now. Outside, I think Kal Kalinske mentioned it in one of the streams that he did. Maybe other folks are mentioning that. I don't know much about that, but I have seen that in various places. And if that's the case, like, maybe not formalized training, but some training in order to carry out what appears to be a highly sophisticated political assassination, to say the least. He chose the right spot. He planned this event, and I'm saying he. We don't know it's a he yet. We don't know anything about the shooter. I've done that through the whole stream, but yeah, it seems like this person knew how to shoot. Again, the fact that there was one shot fired, so the moment he pulled that trigger, he had no doubt that he just killed Charlie Kirk, because he did not feel the need one bit to fire another shot. That alone told that analysis, right, and told me before I even seen the analysis, like, this was somebody that is trained with a weapon extensively, even from 200 yards away, to make a kill shot that goes through the throat and hits the artery. I mean, that's some expert shooting level shit. There's no denying that. Even 200 yards away, taking into account, like, it shows the dip in the crowd from his line of sight. It's a wonderful analysis. He took into all the factors into account to make a kill shot, and he was very comfortable doing it because he got away pretty much without detection. Like, one old dude, one pudgy old dude got arrested. And then another person gets arrested who had, like, a fucking pellet gun. Like, it's just been like, hopefully now we're on the trail and we know who the person is. Hopefully the FBI knows who the person is, and hopefully they get the right person, and we get the right, we get a better understanding, the right understanding of what happened yesterday.
In the midst of this horrible, tragic day where Charlie Kirk has been shot and killed in Utah, while doing an event there.
So they are saying that it's a guy, it's a dude.
We have the video of it. We're going to show you in a second. Representative Anna Paulina Luna is the one who seems to have.
Yeah, I mean, 200 yards. Like, I think I could have probably made. Well, I don't know if I can make the kill shot when I was younger. Maybe. But yeah, I do understand, like, people are trained to make kill shots on deer, on moving targets at a very young age. So yeah, I can see that point. I concede that point. Now really thinking about it, I think that, like, more, it's not the shot itself, although the shot is very impressive. Like, most people in these shootings, like even like the JFK shooting, if it was Oswald, if it wasn't Oswald, whoever made those shots was an expert shooter. Their claim is Oswald was an expert shooter. I think that there's some kind of fact behind that. But whoever made those shots, at least the kill shot, was probably an expert shooter. Usually there's more than one shot involved, right? Like, so I mean, it does indicate some expertise. I think what's more indicative of some kind of formal or informal training is getting there dressed up in black, getting to that roof undetected, and getting out more especially undetected in the manner that he did, that he seemed to be able to. I think speaks more to, like, he was able to stay calm even after the kill, right? Like, just somebody that has trained on, like, deer their whole life or on targets their whole life. I don't think that they can stay calm after the kill. This person got away and he's still away. I think that's very, very impressive. Now, maybe not formalized intelligence training. Again, like, the analysis breaks that down. Like, there's, like, things like a professional killer would have done. But yeah, somebody that has been trained in other aspects outside of just the shot. You know what I'm saying?
Started it, for lack of a better way of putting it. So let's take a look at the footage first.
And I don't know why I just played that. What was I looking at? I had this. We're watching this. I don't need the Young Turks thing. I'm done with the Young Turks thing. We can get them off of my computer. We might go back to that. And then I'm probably going to end the stream. I might have, like, a room tonight. I'm not sure if now's the time to have a room. I think a room could be a really great conversation to have, or it could turn into, like, you know, like the worst possible decision. Right? So I'm considering having a room. I'm not sure if I'm going to have a room. I ended up going to bed too early to have a room last night. I got tired way too early. I do have to work tomorrow. I have to wake up early, but then I have Saturday off, so I could probably stay up a little later than usual, but I don't know if I will. I don't know if it's a good idea to have a room. I'll see how I feel about it later. But yeah, I think we can watch this. See about this gun. Yeah. And I know for me, I have to imagine, like, even for people like that only hunted as children, right? Like making that shot would be really hard. But like for most hunters, most people that have practiced on targets, unless they're in like a life-threatening situation, I don't think killing a human being is very easy. And I think that what I've seen today pretty much leads me like this isn't some crazy nut job, like, you know, like this isn't some fucking lunatic that just went crazy and killed Charlie Kirk, decided to on the random kill Charlie Kirk. Like this guy had a plan and he carried out his plan. Yeah, I lost my thought there. That hasn't happened as much today, but it happened there, so I'm going to smoke more weed, make it happen more.
Process appropriately. Last night I communicated with Erica. The family's devastated. As a commissioner of public safety, as a father, as a husband, I can only imagine what that family's going through. The heinous event that happened yesterday is not Utah.
This is about the gun, right?
Over the past several weeks, we've seen this state come together to help families in mourning, come together as a community to show what Utah is known for a state of character, of service, of camaraderie, of a neighboring feel. We will not stand for what happened yesterday. We are exhausting every lead. We have every officer invested in this, every investigator, every local agency. The outpouring of support from the law enforcement community has been astounding. We are investing everything we have into this, and we will catch this individual. Having walked through the crime scene, through the hallways of this school, through the classrooms, I can't imagine what the people on scene felt as well. A horrific event where some of them barricaded in classrooms, some of them ran in fear. Can't overstate the tragedy and the horrific event that yesterday was, and how we will work to bring to justice the actions of one individual or any other individuals that assisted in that. Our state has gone through a lot, and we will come out successful. With that, I'll turn the time over to Special Agent Bowles in charge.
Good morning. My name is Robert Bowles, and I am the Special Agent in charge of the Salt Lake Field Office. Following yesterday's tragic shooting of Charlie Kirk, FBI agents have been working around the clock in coordination with our law enforcement partners. We are and will continue to work nonstop until we find the person that has committed this heinous crime and find out why they did it. This morning I can tell you that we have recovered what we believe is the weapon that was used in yesterday's shooting. It is a high-powered bolt-action rifle. That rifle was recovered in a wooded area where the shooter had fled. The FBI laboratory will be analyzing this weapon. Investigators have also collected footwear impression, a palm print, and forearm imprints for analysis. Now, I understand there are a lot of questions about motive. I assure you that all...
I think there must be... Like, there needs to be, like, full transparency on this. Right. The words high-powered bolt-action rifle, it's not the first time those words have been uttered in American history. Like, I'm not trying to be conspiracy theorist. I just think there needs to be full transparency. If they have video image, if they have photos, you know, I understand, like, not releasing them immediately. If you think you have if you think you have him coordinated and you're closing that coordination down, right? Like, fully understand that, but like, we need to have full transparency. We need to see the video footage. We need to see the timeline. We need to understand who this person is, what his motivations were. We need to know that this was indeed the rifle that was used. I don't know. You know, I wasn't alive in the JFK era. I was alive in the movie JFK era, right? So I'm just saying, I don't quite trust the words coming from the FBI that we found a high-powered bolt-action rifle. Like, that just triggers something inside of me that I don't like.
Leads, tips are being fully investigated. As of this morning, we have received more than 130 tips. We thank the community for that. The FBI has brought every resource to bear, and we will continue to do so throughout the course of this investigation. The FBI's mission is to protect the American people. It's to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Any attack on the First Amendment is an attack on the very foundation of our democracy. That is why we will relentlessly pursue this case and the shooter until we find him.
I think I'm gonna sneeze.
We also continue to grieve with the family and the community. It's our community. If you have any video or images from the shooting, we ask you to please submit them to our digital media tip website at www.fbi.gov/Utah Valley Shooting. You can also call the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. We truly rely on the public's help in these types of cases, and no tip is too small or insignificant. Thank you.
So what I'll release about the suspect is suspect blended in well with a college institution. And we're not releasing many details right now, and we will soon. But right now we're not. But that individual appears to be of college age. We are confident in our abilities to track that individual. If we're unsuccessful in identifying them immediately, we will reach out for the public's help and the media's help in pushing those photos. That was a new development overnight, working through the night, studying those cameras. So that's something that's new and that we're working through right now. As far as the security, I cannot speak to that. Neither the Department of Public Safety nor the Federal Bureau of Investigation was involved in the planning or security of this event, and that'll have to be a question later for other agencies.
Area. So that's a good question, and it's a question that goes to the safety of the community, right? No, not in those woods. We've walked through those woods and secured it. As to the community, I can tell you that this was a targeted event. We don't believe that the community is at risk. However, we are exhausting every resource to find him, and we will do so.
Well, to say that you've got with the BBC, from the images you have, can you see clearly the suspect's face? You say he's college aged. You believe he was from this university, and how far do you think he may have gone in this time span?
So I can't comment specifically on his face or any details such as that, as it's continuing to be a part of the investigation, and again, we'll release that shortly. However, we're doing everything we can to find him, and we're not sure how far he has gone yet, but we will.
No, and you might have seen it earlier. Like, some of the rooftops actually had a lot of people on it, and the person that got the video footage, I do believe, was actually on a rooftop when he saw the person on the higher rooftop.
We will do our best. We have images of the suspect.
Between those images and the gun that you've been able to recover, do you believe you know?
So, person being of college age and able to blend in really well, says a lot. I don't know what the language is implying there. That's very particular language that can mean a number of things. Blend in very well can be in reference to, like, the political left narrative that goes around about college campuses. Blendin very well could just be like, look like any normal, like, 18 to 23, 24-year-old that might be on this college campus, like as the vast majority. I'm sure there's some older people, maybe some younger geniuses, but that's like very particular language that doesn't really tell us anything. It could intentionally be language to not tell us anything, but I think at this point, like, you've got to understand, with the political assassination of this magnitude, like, Charlie Kirk isn't just some human being, right? Charlie Kirk isn't me. People want to know why this happened, and they don't want, like, some bullshit. We don't need some, like, not trying to correlate these two very different things together, but we don't need this handled like Epstein has been handled, right? So, yeah, I would hope that, like, hopefully they catch this person, and hopefully it is indeed the person that killed Charlie Kirk for whatever political motivation this person has. And hopefully we can get to the bottom of that political motivation. Hopefully they won't bury this person like they seem to do with, the person that took a shot at Trump. Like, I just haven't seen much about that guy, about his politics. It seemed like his politics were more pro-Trump than anti-Trump, but I'm not sure. I just haven't seen much. I think there should be full transparency. This is a political figure that, whether you liked him or you disliked him, a lot of people were invested in him. Like, I have literally covered Charlie Kirk since I was probably in my early 30s, talking about him on Facebook or here on YouTube, like looking at rage watching his content, most of the time. Some of it's not rage watching, but like if it's his content, it's usually rage watching. Although here recently, he doesn't seem to understand when he loses. Or he didn't, and that's going to be a transition. Referring to Charlie Kirk in the past tense, because he's such a dominant person in a lot of people's lives. Even a person like me, who is on the complete opposite political spectrum, he has been a large part of my discourse over the last decade. So I think we need to understand the truth, not the narrative that they want to spin about it, that anybody wants to spin about it. We need to get to the truth of this. Like, we needed it for JFK, we needed it for Martin Luther King, for Malcolm X, whatever political figure or just societal figure that kind of gets taken out like this. We should know the truth. We should know that this isn't some black ops operation to install fascism so Trump can lock up political enemies. Let's make that very apparent. No, this was not that. Don't fucking say that shit. It wasn't that. Let's be transparent.
Who this person is, the person that you're looking for at this point?
Again, as part of the investigation, we're not releasing any details such as that right now.
Fingerprints or DNA?
We are exhausting all of our resources to be able to collect those, but that's, again, part of the investigation.
How did the suspect get on the roof?
Excuse me?
You said you found the weapon. Have you been able to trace back the owner of that weapon or purchased it?
We are working on that, but again, part of the investigation that I can't release.
Agent Wallace, there's been a lot of turnover at the FBI. Do you think that's impacting the investigation at all?
Not at all. We've got complete and total support from everyone, from the director on down, and it's been an incredible supportive environment so far.
Last week's like the one yesterday useful though, where we announced it was a suspect in custody.
All I can say is that we're working the investigation the best we have.
All right, so it appears they found a gun. A lot of... that live action... that bolt action rifle... that's a doozy. That's a doozy. Said he discarded it close to where he shot. Why did it take so long to find it? Like, that doesn't make much sense. If I heard that correctly, right? Said they found it close to the area where he left the building that he shot from. Why did it take so long to find it? That scratches my skeptic gut a bit too much, I think. And it's too much like, you know, the rifle was left behind in the book depository. The bolt action rifle. Oh my God, I've become one, y'all. I think my boss told me the other day I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, no, I'm not. You know, I don't think Epstein was murdered, or I don't think Epstein hung himself, which I don't think she does either. Or she might have been referring to me, like, I think I went on a science is going to cure death rant that I sometimes go on. But still, it's like, man, am I becoming a conspiracy theorist now? Am I? And the Trump era has the roles reversed. Do I distrust this government so much that I'm yelping at shadows? I mean, that's a possibility. I'm not going to call that Trump derangement syndrome. I'm going to call that fascist derangement syndrome, right? Like, that's a possibility. But I don't think so. Like, and I haven't really implied anything. I think, you know, the analysis I watched earlier here was pretty spot on, and it kind of leads to, you know, just, I don't know. Like, I think I can infer, like, somebody had, I don't know, maybe somebody hired an assassination and they just didn't get the best. You know, like, I don't know. I don't know, but it seemed like somebody that knew what they were doing, had no issue with killing, made a kill shot with one shot. That one shot is the exceptional thing about it, I think. It's not the actual shot itself. The calmness during the shot, the calmness after the shot. Yeah, I don't know. It speaks of, but they're saying, you know, young college age person, that would kind of go away from like a hired assassin. And it could even really go away from like neo-Nazi militant group theory that's being floated around, that I myself was starting to lean towards. Like, man, it seems like that's possible, but I don't know. I mean, it doesn't outrule it. You know, there's plenty of college aged white supremacists out there, but like, I would think that within like those extremist groups that actually do, you know, training for those kinds of things, I don't know, some probably start at a very young age, but I would think that if you're going to pull off something like this, you would do your most trusted, which would be your more well-seasoned, probably at least in their 30s type person. That would be all assumptions, right? Like, so, but it does kind of like take away from that like neo-Nazi white supremacist theory. And yeah, it's like the best thing to always do is just wait for the facts, and hopefully you can trust the facts that are being given to you. And unfortunately, with this government especially, but a lot of administrations across both political spectrums, you can't trust everything they give you. And I think we should be skeptical, and hopefully there's full transparency here. Let's see if there's anything else new. Let's see. Am I on CNN? It's like the only real shit that I've got. I could see what Fox News is saying, but I think I've had problems with Fox in the past. I don't know. Videos, get that quick as shit. So now we're getting, again, cultural phrases on the weapons, I guess. I don't like that. I haven't even watched this yet. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't like that.
I want to bring in CNN national correspondent Nick Watt. He's joining us right now from Orem in Utah, and CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez, who's monitoring this investigation for us. Nick, let me start with you. What's the latest out there in Utah that we have learned about this killing?
Well, Wolf, we have just heard from officials that they had what they describe as breakthroughs during the night. This is coming from the special agent in charge from the FBI Salt Lake field office and from local officials here in Utah. So here is what we know. They are calling the suspect he, him. They're saying that this is a male, college age, who blended in well on campus. They say that they do now have, which they didn't yesterday, they do now have a good image of that suspect. And they are right now using technology to try and identify the person from that or those images. If they fail with that technology, they say they will release these images through the media to the public. The FBI says they've had about 130 tips, Wolf, and they are asking for more. Any eyewitness accounts, any images, still or video, they want them. Now, we also got a little bit of a timeline. They say that they have now tracked the suspect's movements on campus. He arrived on campus 11:52, as I said, blended in with the college crowd is what they say this person looks like. Went up a stairwell, onto the roof, after the incident, jumped off the building. Unclear how that happened, but jumped off the building and then fled. Off campus through a residential neighborhood. So during the night, investigators were speaking to people in that neighborhood, looking for eyewitness accounts, looking for video from doorbell cameras, etc. They also,
I might have muted myself there. I'm not sure, so I'll just say it again. Correction from earlier. Yeah, muted. All right, yeah. I might have muted myself because I don't think I unmuted. That's usually the problem when I do that. I'm not unmuting. I'm not muting when I stop talking. So correction from earlier, I thought that the gun had come from, they had found the gun in near the building, but that said that they had found it in the wooded area, which would have been the neighborhood by the campus that the suspect fled to. So that's a correction that for myself.
wooded area have recovered what they believe is the weapon that was used to kill Charlie Kirk. They describe it as a high-powered bolt-action rifle, and right now they say they are working on trying to trace the ownership of that weapon. Now, they say that the suspect is not still in that wooded area. They have swept and secured that area, but they say they do not know how far he has gone. And of course, with every hour, that is more time for this suspect to get further, possibly away from the scene of the crime. Now, they do stress, though, that they do not believe that the public here is in danger. They say that this was a targeted incident, so they are not concerned right now for the safety of the public. They say that they also have a foot imprint and the imprint left by a palm and a forearm. That is what they're working with. The FBI say they are determined to find this suspect and also find out why he did it. Now, there are still some unanswered questions. Was there a vehicle involved? Was the rifle on campus already, or was the suspect blending in with a long gun? Unclear how that would happen. We also heard that Charlie Kirk's body will be taken home to Arizona today. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much. I want to go to Evan Perez now, who has some new reporting.
Well, yeah, so Nick was just describing some of the scene there and what was recovered by investigators. And we have a couple of bits of more information about what they found. Now, Nick described that they found the bolt-action rifle near that building, not far from that building. It appears, investigators believe, that the suspect ran away from the scene, threw the rifle down. It was there was a towel there. And they also found a screwdriver, which they believe indicates that perhaps the suspect used it to disassemble, take the stock off the rifle to try to conceal it. Right, that is a very common thing. We've seen this done in other instances. For instance, the shooter in Butler, the one who shot at President Trump, tried to assassinate President Trump. It's very common, and so it is possible that this person used that to try to disassemble and then put it together when he was on the roof. Again, this is a working theory of the investigators. They also found the ammunition. They found the firearm. They found some ammunition information inside the rifle and also nearby, which had some writings and made virtual various references to cultural issues, right? And we don't know what they mean. The investigators don't know what they mean. They found some initials written on some of the ammunition, some of the parts of the rifle. And again, they don't know whether this is a motive, whether this refers to the reason why this was done. But again, they spent the night looking at those initials, trying to match it to other pieces of evidence, social media accounts online, to try to see if they can try to decipher whether this is the person who did this or whether this was a reference to something else. Again, there's a lot of evidence that they're still going through at this point, but certainly the biggest piece is the rifle. They have the images, the very rough images that they found, obviously from some of the video. They are begging, obviously, for the public to send images because that is one of the ways they're going to be able to refine and figure out who might have done this, right?
All right, so a lot of this is screaming really a lot of red flags at me. I'm going to go up here to my... because I'm going to end the stream, I think. So this person gets away, but leaves the gun behind with shit written on it. It doesn't make... Why would you do that? You got away with it. And why is it happening like weeks apart from each other now? Like, this clearly isn't a copycat of the Minnesota school shooting. Are we going to see, like, I hope, did they take video of them finding the guns? How do we know that? I don't even know what this writing is, but how do we know that this writing is legit? How do we know they didn't put this writing on these weapons? Like this, it doesn't make any fucking sense. You got away. Why would you leave the murder weapon? If you took it all the way to those woods, you've escaped. Somebody else has been found, or at least at that point, somebody else had been arrested. You might not know that, but you got away. You got away with the gun. If you were going to leave it anywhere, you would leave it at the site. It doesn't make any sense. I don't like this. To compare it to the Trump shooter really set off a red flag to me when I was watching that. I don't like it. I don't want to say any more than I don't like it at this point, I think. I don't know. We'll see what information comes in. We'll see if we find out what these weapons say. What else? Is there anything else? Oh my God, I don't know if I can take anything else at this point. Why would you put it out that there's... Why would you put it out that there's shit on it without at least pictures? And we need some kind of video of you finding these weapons with the writing on them the moment you found them, which I guess could even be doctored. I don't know. I don't think I trust this. At least not initially. That broke my brain. It's breaking my brain. Democrats did not start a war with you guys. And are they going to make it illegal for me to be on the left? Are we going to start going to jail because we're on the left and we promote political violence? Oh my God. I think they pointed it out, but yeah, you could be right, John. I don't trust any of it. I don't trust what they're saying here. That's fucked up, bro. Alright. There I go with the bros again. Bro. Alright. Hey, I'm not seeing anything new. Maybe possibly a room. Maybe I'll save it for like tomorrow night when we have more information. I don't know. Fucked up shit. The earth isn't flat, bitches. Thanks everyone for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, man. I'll try to respond. Peace.